I always get caught out by that.
Hello.
Hello.
Evening.
You're right.
Yeah, you?
I'm always all right, me.
Me too.
I'm just fantastic. I don't know where I get it from, but I'm just fantastic.
It's great, isn't it?
You know what? I was blessed. Oh, I've got Maya with me tonight, Miss Hairdresser of the Year here.
I'll give you a haircut, see?
My hair looks, speaking of which, see, she done my hair look. She's made a complete mess of it. I said, cut my hair, and she walked straight past me. So,
Hello.
Right. So who was Julie Evans was the first in tonight. Julie Evans, and then Lynn, of course. Then Dawn, and you were in there, of course. Denise is in. Julie Sharp is in. Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi from the right. The white. Hi from the white.
The Isle of Wight.
Is that the Isle of Wight, Elizabeth? I don't know. So tonight, what have you got? Yeah, Sammy.
You can't even see
Sammy Spooks is on. Goes 22. T-shirts are available to order pre-Christmas. You would order. That's Sammy Spook. Sammy Spooks. His name is Sammy Spooks. Goes 22. You can have the opposite color one. Goes 22. Bucks. White or the black. This is black, then turns white.
This is white and turns black. Black. This is black and turns white.
Ours is black and turns white. Ours is white and turns black. I have no idea, but they came from exactly the same source, so I have no idea how that was happened. So if you'd like to order these, we can get that arranged for you as well. Goes 22 mugs and
mine got dishwasher this week.
Cheers, everybody.
You got whiskey in yours.
I wish. It's caffeine, which I'm actually breaking my rules for tonight. I normally don't drink caffeine after 8 p.m.
How do you screenshot on your phone?
You do.
Oh, like the volume button
and the off button. Anyway, so we have a guest tonight, Dawn.
I know. And you sprang out on me last minute as usual. So only found out who
last minute. It was this morning.
It was this afternoon I found out. So I've
should have been around this morning.
I've watched a couple of her podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you've got yourself into.
That's all right, because I'm stepping back tonight. I'm doing the directorship. You're doing the yapping tonight because you're good at that.
Well, that's hardly fair. I don't know anything about it.
Well, you've watched the podcast, which is more than I. Actually, do you know what? She's a lovely person. Her subject matter is actually, oddly enough, more for the ladies. Right, here's and this is fact. I'm not making this up, right? This is actually fact. Ladies prefer horror films and horror novels. Men don't. The biggest purchases of horror novels and novels of that nature and watch movies of that nature are females. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are men who watch. I mean, I have no interest in horror.
Yeah, Jason does horror films.
Yeah.
I've always liked horror films, but Jason says
I've got to move him over the way because
I'm the one that knocks him over.
Maya could fall over fresh air. Barry's in the house. Sorry, you're not late, mate. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. In fact, you have to get a link in with Dawn or myself, and then sort out a time so we can get together soon and start hashing out ideas. Hope Johanna is making she is making great progress, and that's thanks to all of the help, the love, the strength, and the healing that you wonderful people around the globe, including our darling pal Dawn here, are sending to her. But what's she like, Maya?
Joe?
Yeah.
Well, she's rocketing.
She's rocketing. She is improving dramatically, so much so that they've started taking away bandages.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying, right, this is healing really, really well, and they're starting to take them away. They haven't taken away the tubes yet. She's still got tubes coming out of her, so she looks like RoboCop. But you know, she's staying in bed. She stayed in bed basically for a week, resting. she's like, ding, 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 ding. Get me this. Get me that. You didn't jump as I told you. Jump higher the next time. Get me.
But when you tell somebody that they need to lie down and rest, and that's the best thing for them, it's the worst possible thing for them. And telling Jason to sit down and not do anything, that was like torture for him. It's horrible. My sister's the same. She's been told she has to rest up for 6 weeks. She can't wait to get back to work.
Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't hold that against them because I was the same. When I had cancer, I worked right up to the point where I nearly fell off the stage because I passed out on stage. But I couldn't sit at home and rot. So I had to be
it's not sitting at home and rotting, is it? It's actually taking care of yourself, and it seems to be like the last thing anybody wants.
I healed faster than most because I kept doing what I loved. Now, that's not the same thing. Johanna can't because she's got a gash in her leg as big as my hand. So she can't get up and walk about. But if she could, she would.
Yeah.
But she's doing the right thing. Her legs are still, one of her legs is still swollen, the one that's had all the work. I mean, if you think about it, she's had a piece of muscle taken off the outside of her leg that big, literally about over the length of my hand, about there, and had to take that muscle out and put it back to where the cancer had killed the rest of it. But they've done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cher Renee, what a beautiful name. I've just discovered this live chat. I'm so excited. I'm from Portland, Oregon. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Cool.
So we have a guest coming on tonight, and especially for all of you ladies, a horror. She's a horror novelist. But when I was talking to her, some of the ideas for her novels came from real life experiences.
Yeah, the first 2 podcasts, because I was fascinated with the Green State Killer. Have you ever heard? The killer is in America, and he got caught really, really weirdly. So he did his murders. He was a serial killer from like 1974, 1972 to 1986, and they never found out who it was. But as they came up through the technologies and DNA got better, they had like DNA samples from the crime scenes, but obviously their technology couldn't match it up back then.
Yeah.
Now, from what I heard this afternoon on the podcast, is that the DNA from people doing ancestry and putting up their DNA on the database now in America, they can go through this database and match it up to crimes.
Oh, so, yes.
Yeah. I mean, what I saw of this, I was fascinated by it because the Green State Killer, now whether it was something that I've made up in my own head or what, but it was either something to do with they matched the DNA and managed to find the killer like years later. And he was just living a normal life then. It was like, oh yeah, I was a serial killer for a little while, I can't escape fast enough now, so I'll just go back to my normal life. Or I'm sure I saw some forensic evidence that they took the DNA sample and they rebuilt his face. So they went from the DNA sample and said, right, it's most likely that he had brown eyes. It's most likely that he was Caucasian. It was most likely that he was this. And they rebuilt. I'm sure I saw something, unless I'm getting it confused with another serial killer.
You'll be able to ask it directly from the horse's mouth in a minute. Yeah. Actually, Joanna should be watching this. This is her cup of tea. She loves these things. Yeah, she loves all. You know those TV shows that how they caught somebody and here's how they caught the guy and blah blah. She glued to those. To be honest with you, while she's in bed for last week and the next week coming, I've actually got the telly to myself. I'm actually catching up with my own shows. It's great.
I've watched Making a Murderer about 3 times.
Hey, do you know? I know how to get away. Do you know how to get away? Do you know how not to get caught? I can tell you. What's she doing?
Hang on, I'm breaking something. That's it.
That's nothing new for you.
Got all his computer stuff back here. So it's an old computer with like a box that you plug your screens into and stuff like that. And I've kicked it over. Oops.
I know how to get away from the police. I know how.
I haven't done anything. I have not done anything.
Hi, Jay.
How we doing?
Oh, we're doing great. She's broken all of your computers.
Shut
She
up.
threw something against the wall a minute ago.
What's that?
What's that? That's nothing important. That's the tower for those two computers.
It's fine then. It's fine.
Yeah, nothing
fine.
important at
So
all.
the whole world's saying hi, Jay. Hi, Jay.
Morning.
Yeah.
In the summer, I'm having nothing to do with this. Oh,
That's ladies and gentlemen of the planet who are watching in tonight are going to be watching in a bit later. That's our beautiful Dawn's hubby, Jay. He's a lovely,
That's
lovely
Jason's
guy.
debut.
That's his debut. It'd be lovely to get him on for an interview. As I say, I
No.
know how to get away. I know how to do it.
You don't want to get Jason on as an interview. No.
I know how to get away. Don't do the crime in the first place. Don't do the crime in the first place, and then you won't have to get caught ever.
No, if you're going to do a crime, just run fast.
You cannot run. No, I'm not going to go there. It'd be very negative. So we are oddly enough moving towards one of the times of the year when it's the most spirit. This is where humankind, and I'm talking about that humankind, change. They change. Don't you worry, little Miss Knuckles here constantly. Come on, Dad. So I actually had to take her to. What did I take you to first? I took you to judo first, didn't I? And then what else? And kickboxing. So try and get it out of her.
I used to take Lainey to karate just to get a little bit of discipline in there.
Well, I was going to teach my daughters myself, but I would lose my rag and they wouldn't pay attention. I'm third down in a couple of different styles and a black belt in kung fu, but I studied ninjutsu. Yes, ninja. I did. No, I'm not joking. I did. I studied it with the highest ranking sensei in Europe.
Righto.
So no, I loved it. I loved ninja. I loved all that.
Don't get into fights. Don't get into fights.
No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of martial arts. It's not self-defense. You learn.
I know people that do martial arts, and it's all very well and good, but a lot of them, I mean, they know how to finish a fight. Brilliant. But they get an ego with them that they know how they're going to fight.
You get the idiots who have egos, but the whole principle of martial arts is not to fight.
Yeah, well, most of the people that I know that do it use it as a weapon. They don't use it as an arsenal, as in like something to protect
Those
myself.
are the ones that fall. But anyway, Cher is saying she carries a stun gun. I would love to be able to do that.
Definitely.
I tell you what, though, if Cher came on a paranormal investigation, a stun gun is probably going to be used a lot by stun gun is going to be used by.
You say the spirits are going to use a stun gun?
Yeah, no, the energy. Another way they can draw it out of batteries.
See cowboy spirits coming down with stun guns.
No, seriously. Because when you have film crews and you have cameras, and they can just empty the energy out of the battery.
Yeah.
Well, if a stun gun's going to carry a heck of a lot of energy.
Well, it's like when you watch Skinwalker Ranch and all their drones and everything just get drained. Battery gets drained.
Listen, we have our guest in our green room.
Ooh.
Nicky's in our green room. We can see Nicky. Nicky's waving.
I can't see Nicky. I can't see.
Hey, only the chosen few can see Nicky in the green room, so you're not one of the chosen few yet.
She's waving back.
She's waving at you, though. She's having a giggle. And don't you worry, Nicky, because Dawn cannot wait to grill you. I said that's one word. She cannot wait to converse with you over, your. I mean, I'm going to converse with you about your what motivated the ideas, because I'm really interested in the paranormal stuff that you've engaged in and experienced. But Dawn and all the females on the planet are waiting to talk to you about your books, because ladies love all that. My wife loves that kind of stuff. She is into the all, whodunits, and she's into how did they catch a killer and all. She thrives on that stuff. And any movies or TV shows will be like Vera, glued to it. If you say to her, "Would you like a cup of shut?" Oh God, I'm sorry. Am I breathing too loud? Stop breathing. Just stop breathing.
See, I don't like watching those ones that are just on generic telly, like ITV and BBC and
Actually,
stuff.
Vera's quite funny.
But I like the one that you shared to me the other day. It's got that chap in it. Is it Martin Sheen? Is it Apparition?
Not Martin Sheen. That's
What's it called?
Oh God. I can't blank on his name. I'll look it up now.
Where he's doing the exorcisms. I quite like that.
Martin Shaw. Martin Shaw.
Yeah, that's
used to be in the Sweeney.
I'm not interested in like Miss Marple and those sort of whodunits. I'm into like the true crime. Who did it?
Yeah, that's good. Johanna's in. I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to invite our guest in. We're going to bring her up on the stage. So, ladies and gentlemen of the planet, please welcome with a big, huge round of applause our wonderful guest, Nicky Peacock.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Nicky New, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I didn't realize how prolific you are. I thought, oh, she's written a couple of books. And then I did some research and I went, holy shit, she's not just written a couple of books. She's written a load of books and they're all over the place. I wrote book 5, but they're not as widespread as yours. Hey, Nicky, speaking as a what's the word? An author. When did you get that tingle? Where did you get that tingle when you first saw your first book? Where was your first book? You saw it for sale, and that, oh my God, there's my book. Where was it when you saw that?
Oh, I had a very long and complicated journey, to be honest.
Well, don't we all? I got ripped off several times. But
No.
I sold thousands of books and didn't earn a penny.
Oh, well, I kind of started my career writing short stories for anthologies. So I was in quite a number of kind of horror books, especially in the States.
Yeah.
So I'd seen a couple of them. They'd post a copy out to you as being part of the book. But it was really Little Bones was my debut.
Wow.
And
what a Little Bones, yeah, that's quite a thick Little Bones.
Yeah. And it was a bit of an odd story, really. So it's all about a serial killer's daughter who's changed her identity and that's outed on a true crime podcast. Right. And has to deal with the kind of consequences and is accused of a similar crime to what her dad had done that's going on at the moment. The true crime podcast was trying to kind of make money on. And I had to write the story. I got the idea and it was like I was possessed and I was working full time and trying to have a life at the same time. My nephews and nieces started calling me antisocial. I was so obsessed with writing. I barely saw anybody. And I kind of wrote it.
I like that. I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, creative little, aren't they?
Oh, where did you get it from? That's what I
guess. So it was a bit of a weird one. So I kind of wrote it, and I saw HarperCollins had an open submission, which is very, very rare for a big publisher like that. Normally, you have to have an agent to get to them. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to send it and see what happens. And I sent it, and the pandemic happened.
Oh, yeah.
So I was obviously very much bothered about what was going on in the world and kind of forgot that I'd done it. And I was working from home at the time with my own mobile. And I kept getting a London number come up on my mobile. And I was like, oh, it's a scam again. One of these kind of an accident, kind of thing. I was thinking, no, ignore. And next thing I know, I get an email saying, this is HarperCollins. We're trying to contact you because we want to publish your book.
Wow.
Oh, so I missed the call. Every author's got that where I was when I got the call story, and I don't have that. I have the where I was when I got the email story going, oh no. should have took the call.
But when you saw your first book physically, when you saw, the book
Mm.
you have there right beside you, where was it when you first saw that?
Well, they sent me copies, but the first time I saw it out on sale was in Tesco's.
In Tesco's?
Yeah, because everything was locked down. It was locked down, and
Of course,
it was
yes.
only the supermarkets really open at the time, so I couldn't see it in Waterstones or any of the normal bookshops or anything like that. And I saw it in Tesco's and was like, oh my God. And I've got a picture of me like in my mask and that next to it, looking really shocked. And then a couple of weeks later, and my mum goes around Tesco's with the book like on the trolley. like she's gonna make me a bestseller by just there's a few people in the local supermarket. And next thing I know, like 3 weeks later, my friend texted me and was like, "You're on the bestsellers list," and I was like, "What?" And again, I couldn't get out to have a look, so I was on the bestsellers kind of shelf for Tesco.
Well done.
But
It
was like, yeah, it was just so surreal though, and it doesn't even now. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah," like you guys had a really great reaction, and I was just like, "Could you get me a picture of that?" And even now, it hasn't particularly landed. So
mine was, and this is you're all going to laugh because this is funny. I mean, I saw it in Waterstones, I saw it in a few of the big bookstores and stuff. And the funny thing about Waterstones was, I forgot to ask you, whereabouts you live in the UK, Nick?
I live in Northamptonshire.
Northamptonshire. Well, I walked into Truro Waterstones, where Dawn and I frequent for a cup of coffee on a regular basis. And I said, he was going on about, oh, yes, we support local authors. And I said, oh, yeah. I said to the guy, oh, can you bring up that, there's a guy called Paul Francis. He's written a book called The Safe Way. And he goes, oh, yeah, we sell that. I said, I'm Paul Francis. And he went, oh, right, okay, well, we best get you in. But the first time when I saw my book, and this is going to make you all laugh, right, including everybody watching, eBay.
Oh.
I was looking. I wonder. The Safeway, Paul Francis, been there again. Oh, I'm on it. I felt so happy.
Yeah. It's
always
always
like
like
and it's been on Amazon. It's been all over. But I was so happy when I saw it on eBay. I thought, I'm on eBay. I'm for sale on eBay.
it's when you see yourself in a charity shop. That's when you're like, ooh. Someone didn't like it that much then. They got rid of it.
It's actually, do you know the one the one that brought me down, you're spot on, Nicky, was when Amazon sent it to me, and they said, Amazon said, first of all, they talk about building you up. Amazon sent me an email going, we've run out of your books. I was like, really? Amazon's run out of my books? Yeah, we have. And then they sent another emails, links to your books, reduced price, Paul Francis, The Safe Way. There you go. Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to follow.
I was thinking, how can you tell you've run out of your books? They say it's for sale, it's at a lower price, but which is it? So anyway, I was gutted by that, but I was so lifted when I saw it on eBay. Well, that book, and then the new book, and then I've got another 2 books coming out. But anyway, let's start by me. It's about you. And Maya's sitting here researching you as we speak.
Ooh.
And Maya's
I
my
didn't feel a
daughter.
thing.
Now, like I said, Dawn's got 563 questions for you.
Okay.
But I'm going to take over first. Now, I'm glad you're on the show tonight, because especially with what you do, because we have a segment of the show where I show pictures of spirits, right? And I ask everybody, around who's watching the show around the globe, what do you think? Is it real or is it fake? So now you're watching it tonight, and you should be able to go, that's a fake or that's real. So, but before we go into all of that, let's talk about your experiences. What was your experiences that got the paranormal side of you going, ooh?
Again, quite a long-winded story.
That's what we're here for.
So I've always been into the paranormal and the supernatural. I'm actually pagan.
So is my wife.
Yeah. And I grew up that way.
I haven't told I'm Christian yet.
Yeah. So I just grew up in a household that kind of accepted that. And you know, it was nice. And we all have ghost stories. The family have a lot of ghost stories. My mum and dad have a particularly quite a gruesome one from when they were first married. And Northamptonshire has lots and lots of legends. And you talk to anyone for any length of time and they're going to come up with a ghost story. And I always find that it's very bonding, when especially someone new, that you can bond over these kind of shared experiences. I've seen 3 ghosts. I think I never say I'm 100% because I am actually quite hard to please. So I might be very, you know, with your pictures. But
well, here's the thing. Now, this is not me being, you know, flippant or anything like that. This I'm very much, if anybody will tell you, I'm very much of a teaching kind of a person. But do you know the difference between a ghost and a spirit? There are 2 big differences.
Is it to do with how they kind of appear in terms of, you know, whether they are interactive, so to speak, or whether they're
There you go.
or
Well,
just kind of almost like
the
past, like a snapshot of the past.
Yes, that's a ghost. A spirit, and a ghost will happen, and you'll go, ah! It won't acknowledge you. It'll just keep on going.
I think that's all I've seen.
And look at you and go, what?
Yeah, I think all I've seen are the kind of snapshots. There's a particular road in Northamptonshire called Barford Bridge, and there's a lot of stories there about like a monk, a ghostly monk that gets into your car and kind of hitchhikes down the road. Yeah, that didn't happen to me, fortunately, but I have been twice on that road. And one time I was driving along, and it wasn't particularly, you know, kind of too dark or anything like that, and it wasn't like midnight or anything, and there was a lot of cars around, and I saw up ahead of me, it was like a tumbleweed of clothes that just went across the road. And I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna hit that. And I didn't assume anything at the time. I just looked in my rear view mirror to see if I could brake. There was a car right behind me. I thought, I can't brake, I'm just gonna have to hit it and hope for the best. And I just went through. I hit nothing. And I thought that was weird. And then it wasn't till later I was talking to a friend of mine who said, a tumbleweed of clothes going across the road. And I says, yeah. And she was like, that kind of sounds like the victim of a car accident. A tumbleweed of clothes going across the road. And I just thought, that and I just went cold when she said it. And I was like, I can kind of see that. So it was not something I thought too much of the time. I just thought I'd perhaps misseen, so, you know, like I hadn't really seen something, but it was enough for me to look in my rearview mirror and want to brake as a driver.
Wow. We see, I was believing you. I wasn't believing you right up until you said about the tumbleweeds, because I've never known a woman to look in a rearview mirror for that reason.
Honestly, don't take any notice of him, Nicky, because he's the most least observant person driving that I think I've met.
I use my rearview mirror all the time. I have to do my lipstick.
And I rest my case.
Just as much as I look out the back.
Yeah.
Nicky,
too many people on the road that don't observe anything cold.
I live just outside Truro, and so does Dawn. She lives in another area in Truro. Truro's down here in Cornwall. And very often I'll be driving in the mornings. Sometimes I'll be, you know, taking her to college. So my head is, watch the car in front, get to your destination. Then I go, here, oh, Jesus Christ. And she's at the other side going, these grey hairs, Dawn. I have a question for you, or Nicky. I've got a lovely lady from Portland, Oregon, saying, "Hi, Nicky. I have something similar. I don't write books, but I paint portraits of the other side. Oh, maybe we should put you 2 together. Sure, we would love to see your portraits." One day I decided to paint, and I find many faces appeared. I'll call the medium and told I created that person had created a portal. Nah, I'm not buying that share. Listen, no portal stuff, bollocks. So you start painting, and you're influenced by energies that are around you, whether it be guides, whether it be people, friends, and family. You're influenced. But opening portals, completely different thing altogether. You would have to literally go into almost like a ritual to open a portal. So I wouldn't buy that one for a second share. But you would have definitely been influenced, but really interested in seeing said painting. but nonetheless.
Maybe
But
the thing with a language again, with America and our language crossover again, where portals, is that kind of like channeling? So when she does her art, she's channeling and drawing the people that she's talking to, which is why the mediums turned around and said, you're creating a portal for you to channel.
no,
So
she
it's
said
like
many. She said many faces. But our medium told her that she created a portal. No, I'm not buying that one.
I
Cher, I wouldn't worry about that, my darling, because you would know if you opened a portal. You would really, really, if you opened an energy portal where energies were coming through and you were painting multiples of pictures or faces, you would know because the energy in your room would change dramatically, and the likelihood of you being able to stay in there wouldn't be on high. I'm just going to keep on reading what she says. I'm not sure what direction to take with this gift. I've now painted over 100 portals.
portraits.
No, portals.
Or portraits.
Dawn.
What?
Portal.
Or
This is what it's like,
portraits.
Nicky. Trying to ask God. It's easy for me to talk to the
Honestly,
dead.
talk to you all the time.
I would like to share the original if there's an email. I would definitely make sure that happens for you, share. It's just Paul at paulfrancis111.com. But we would love to see. In fact, you know what? We'll introduce you to Nicky because she probably needs some of the books done. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of business going on there. But anyway, let's move on with this. Nicky, so you've seen this tumble dryer?
yeah, tumbleweed. I didn't see a tumble dryer. I was very rare to see one of them.
Well, yes, you think about that, yeah, because somebody would go, head over shoulders, tumbling, and yeah, that makes sense to me.
Like I said, it was only when it was sort of explained to me. What I was going to say for the portal thing, there's a lot of talk online about like numerology portals, isn't there, in America, where you've got the 1111 portal, and there was the Lionsgate portal that was in August, and so maybe it's some kind of energy to do with that. But when I was very, very little and I didn't really understand what was going on, we lived in quite a haunted house, and my brother's bedroom was particularly bad. And he kept saying that he saw hands like coming out of the walls. And of course, my mum, in her infinite wisdom, decided to move my older brother out of the room and put me in. And I just remember seeing faces. And I saw faces in the walls.
Nicky, speaking of faces, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. I want you to shift your body to the right.
My right.
Yeah. Now try to look over your left shoulder. And what is that in the corner, third shelf down? It looks like eyes.
Looks like eyes.
Yeah. But you see.
Oh, it's probably just the clock. I think it's the clock. That one. Am I pointing to it now?
Yeah.
That's the clock.
Well,
it's the neon clock.
So when she said face, I'm going, I want to look behind you.
No. But yeah, I was probably only about 3 years old, and I remember like saying, I saw faces, and Mum's like, no, you didn't. There's only hands in there. I was like, okay. And then I slept with my brother until we moved house.
So is it just you and your brother?
Yeah, just me and my older brother.
See, now if you had a third sibling, you could have put them in, and they would have got the whole body.
Well, yeah, they'd have seemed like bellies or something.
So obviously, how did you bring in the paranormal experiences into your work?
Well, specifically with Little Bones, there was a tarot reader character. I actually used to work for a tarot reader when I was younger.
Wow,
so I did all her bookings and drove her to her parties and things that she did. And I also told ghost stories at parties as well, just to keep the other guests amused while one was getting a tarot card reading. So I had quite a lot of experience regarding things like that. But the main research was actually on 13th Girl, because the main character, a lot of people around her believe that she was possessed. She has a head injury and her personality changes quite dramatically. And so people assume that she's possessed by a demon, and they give her like a very shoddy exorcism, which makes it even worse. And she ends up in a mental health care facility because of it. And the book starts when she comes out.
No, you're like, do you know what? Speaking of that number, I had a phone. Everybody asked me, we've just purchased another house. And everybody asked me, when are you moving? You know, when are you moving? So we signed the contracts yesterday. The estate agent rang me this morning and said, right, Paul, we've got a date. And I said, oh, fantastic. What is it? He went Friday the 13th. I went, not happening.
Oh, I love Friday the 13th.
Oh,
It's
no,
lucky.
I said, not a chance.
It's
No,
lucky, I promise.
Yeah.
No, Johanna said the same. Johanna's, you know, obviously she's Wiccan, you know, pagan, and she went, "Don't be silly. It's a lucky one." I went, "Really? Go to NASA and ask them, is it lucky?" And I went, "No." I said to the agent, day after, day before, don't care. But Friday 13th, my butt's staying in the one spot. I never leave the house on Friday 13th. I don't go out. Not
What's
at all.
NASA got to do with it?
NASA.
Yeah.
You know who NASA is? Well, NASA sent up. Okay, you asked me a question. Let me bloody answer. NASA. Well, back in the Apollo days, they had before the Apollo days. NASA were a very obviously scientifically based company. Still are, but they were like, all that rubbish about you know, Friday the 13th and all that crap. Of course, they sent up Apollo 13. What happened? The only spaceship to blow up in space. So as soon as they were rescued, the Apollo 13 crew, NASA removed the number 13 from every building, every door, and every machinery, and every sort of vehicle on their entire company's base. NASA will not allow the number 13 on anything.
I bet they had a load of other things explode that they never admitted to.
On other dates.
Yeah, on other dates and other numbers.
There's nothing to do with the Knights Templar then.
Oh yes, well that's where it comes from. That's where I mean that's where the Friday 13th comes from. The Knights Templar. That's you know, that's the day the Pope decreed to kill all the Knights Templar, all the because they were the guardians of the papacy. And then the Pope realized that they were getting too strong, and he decreed that they all should be killed. And of course, hitmen went out all over the world to kill the Knights Templar. They didn't kill them all, of course. A lot of them went underground, and then they became. This is stuff for you, Nikki. They became
the Illuminati.
No, the Masons.
The Masons, yeah.
They became the Masons. I tell you what, Nikki, if you want. What's the word? What's the word? You research what content for books? What do you call it? You're researching ideas for books, ideas for a nice story. Have a look in there.
I'm not very Dan Brown, to be honest. That's more Dan Brown's kind of territory than mine. I'm more psychological psycho thriller.
Well, if you when you have a look at the Da Vinci Code. Have a look at the movie, The Da Vinci Code, and have the one afterwards, the two Dan Brown movies. It just happens to be with blokes. But the second one, all the cardinals start to get cut up into bits and branded and killed in different ways. So it's your cup of tea. But if you look into the Masons, slaughtered on Friday the 13th. And it could be a girl. It don't have to be Masons. It could be witches. Your cup of tea. Go down into the pagan lifestyle. We went to that, didn't we? We went to the pagan museum, didn't we, here in Cornwall? And I walked into one room and there was Satan sitting there. Straight back out again. I'm having you know the goat person. He was sitting, a full size one. I nearly crapped myself walking away. I just turned around and back out again.
I was like, what to know about this?
I walked right in and there he was looking at me. I kid you not. I went, ooh. I know that it doesn't have anything to do with the devil. I know that. And, you know, I know the pentagram has got nothing to do with Satan. It's actually a symbol of protection. I know all of that. But I grew up a very staunch Catholic. My uncle was a bishop, Nikki. You got to give me a little bit of a break here. So when you walk in and you see something that your uncle had been preaching for the last 30 years, and you think, oh, shit. Right. Anyway. They stayed.
I loved it. I was just looking. I was like, oh, wow.
And see, I was looking at Nikki's podcast earlier.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
Oh, no.
I was really interested in what you called it. because I thought, oh, the red rabbit hole. I've been down all the white rabbit holes.
Mm.
Now, what's this about? And Paul doesn't go down any of the rabbit holes because he's like, oh, that's a load of rubbish. And he's very scientific brain and just poo-poos it all out the way. So when it comes to like the Illuminati, the Cabal, the Masons, the 33rd degree and everything like that, have you got any books that you put all of that into?
No, that's not, like I said, that's Dan Brown's territory rather than mine. I kind of stick to the more kind of true crime, because the Red Rabbit Hole is all about where true crime meets thriller fiction. So the Red Rabbit Hole are all about the rabbit holes of research that authors jump down when they do the book, like the kind of the kind of, I suppose the research I had to do for this one, because I had to speak from a serial killer's point of view. So I had to learn how to be a psychopath, basically, to be able to do it confidently.
When
which is very worrying.
See how fixated she is?
I've never really
I've always wanted to know.
I'm going to bed tonight with a crucifix.
That's not going to save you.
That's a serial killer.
She said that with such an evil grin. That's not going to save you. Sorry, Dawn, I interrupted you.
Does a serial killer, because you wrote it from the point of the, well, had to understand how the serial killer worked, his brain worked, and why he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually think they're evil, do they? Evil is all a matter of perspective. The person doing the evil doesn't think it's evil.
Well, it depends what kind of serial killer you've got on your hands, really, because there's sociopaths and psychopaths, and the main difference is that they both lack empathy in a way.
Yeah.
But psychopaths are born, so their amygdalas are smaller than normal people, so they've lived their whole life without giving empathy or sympathy. They don't understand it. So, like you said, they don't get that this is different. They get it quite quickly, that they adapt quite quickly. So from when they're younger, you can detect a young psychopath quite quickly because they haven't masked yet. But as soon as they realize this isn't how the world works, and I get on better when I say stuff like this, and when
What's the what things should I be looking for?
What for psychopaths? Well, like I said, there's two different types. So you've got the psychopath and you've got the sociopath. And a sociopath's harder to detect because they're mainly born out of, this is the nature-nurture debate. So they're born out of nurture. So they're born normal, but they have a horrible set of circumstances around them, like abuse and things like that, that then turn them into sociopaths and stop that empathy from being developed.
I'll never hit you again.
It depends. You shouldn't anyway. But yeah, so that's the difference between the two. But the kind of things you want to be looking out for, well, a lot of it's been debunked now, but there was the McDonald's triad, which is basically setting fires. So someone who's got some fascination with fire. I kind of think we all have that anyway, because we all want it's caveman fascination, isn't it? Yeah, you want to poke the fire and you want it to be warm and candles and that. So I kind of discount that, but that's more setting fires and seeing what happens. And then there's wetting the bed to a point of an age where you shouldn't be doing that. But there's also medical conditions that can make a child do that too.
Yeah.
And the third one, well, the key one to be looking for, the key one to be looking for is torturing small animals. So if you've got a kid that, then you're good then. You've only got the fries and the milkshake from the McDonald's triad. You've not got the burger, so you're all right.
Many years ago, I read a book. It was my older sister's book, and I was told that I wasn't allowed to read it, and I think I must have been about 13, 14 at the time, and it was called Telly Killer, and it was about this young lad, and he'd watched all these different things on the telly, and he desensitized himself to it. So he wanted to then experiment, and he started on like mice, and then he went up to like cats and dogs, and eventually he went on to people. And it wasn't true or anything like that. It wasn't based, but as far as I know, it wasn't based on any true story. But it really, really made you think about how their mind works when they're doing it, because they don't actually realize that they're causing pain or something like that. It's just an experiment to them. We're lab rats.
Yeah, I mean, there's a core of narcissism involved there in terms of, no one else really matters but me. I'm the star of the show. I don't really care about anyone else as long as I'm getting my jollies. And you can see things like the case of Jeffrey Dahmer, although I always argue I don't think he was actually technically a serial killer. So Jeffrey Dahmer was obsessed with dead things up to a point. but he actually wanted to create a lover, a zombie lover who wouldn't leave him. But he just kept messing it up and killing people. So to me, a serial killer, their end game is the death. They want to kill someone. Whereas Jeffrey Dahmer never actually wanted to kill these men. He wanted to keep them alive. He wanted the opposite. He just wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
And he kept messing it up. And so it, you know,
You
he
just said
turned
she
into
loved Jeffrey. What was it?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Yeah.
The whole thing about him was pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's outliers in terms of, you know, kind of psychopathy and these kind of killers that are presented to us. And they're all a little different in their ways, but there's a lot of talk nowadays about the one and done killer, where you've got someone who really wants to kill someone. They've got it in their head that this is something they want to do, and they fixate on it and they plan it and then they do it, and then they realize actually it's not as much fun as I thought it was going to be, and then they don't do it again. And that's how come you end up with a lot of cases that just don't get solved, because it was a stranger that is really hard to detect. It's really hard to find the killer of a stranger if there's no links there and if nobody's done anything. And because they don't do it again, there's not enough clues for the police to be able to grab onto to solve that original missing person / murdered.
There's one down here. There was a lady down here murdered, I think about 10 years ago now, maybe a little bit more, over on the Roseland pool. Do you remember that? She was walking a dog up a lane.
Yeah,
and,
yes. I was actually called out to that.
All right. Yeah, my brother-in-law was questioned and everything about footprints and DNA and this stuff, but they never found him. But a year later, the killer went back and put her glasses back on the exact spot that she was murdered.
Wow.
So they thought it was, well, the local people that I speak to, they think it's a local person, but I've got I think it's like a white van man, like a delivery man or something like that is easy to go from place to place. He's known but not.
And that's what I picked up. I picked up he was from Devon or Somerset area.
Yeah, because there was
actually it wasn't. I didn't pick up a he. I picked up a they.
Oh, okay. No, because there was a similar crime up in Exeter of a lady walking her dog, and the dog lead got cut, and she was never found. But the dogs obviously sat there and waited. And just afterwards, there was one over in St. Cullen Major, so it seemed like it was in between the two different murders. There was a report of somebody that had been tried to get rammed off the road by somebody in a white van, and they were trying to link them all together. But it's still unsolved now, so he's still out and about.
I didn't know about the St. Colin one, but my picking up of them being in Devon or Somerset area would link with Exeter.
Yeah,
because that's like halfway between the both. But well, at least Nicky's picked up a lot of good stuff here for the next novel. White van man, woman.
I'm already eye deep in about 3 novels, so it's all good.
Well, Cher
So
actually has just popped up here. Sorry, Dawn, I'll quickly just say this. Cher has just jumped up and she says, I'm in property management and we never, ever give any unit the number 13. It's either 12, then 14.
Yeah, there's a lot of buildings that won't have a 13th floor.
Yeah, they have a 12A, don't they?
Yeah, which is...
And I rest my case.
I think it's pretty silly because
It's
I think it's a lucky number, and in numerology it turns to 4 anyway, which is a really great number to get. So
yeah, it's like a black cat. It's what you think of it. If you think you're going to be having bad luck all day, then guess what?
Yeah,
You're going to have bad luck all day.
Well, no, that's the law of attraction. That's real. But according to Johanna, according to what I was brought up, Christian beliefs, is if a black cat crosses your path, it's good luck.
Well, people see it differently. So you see it as good luck, but some people see it as bad luck. Walking under a ladder.
What's that whole thing as well? The magpie. You see one magpie, one for sorrow.
I always think ladders, it's more of a health and safety hazard. I'm not going anywhere near it anyway, just in case something drops. But black cats, I guess, it depends on how... Well, the black cat, it depends on how vicious they are, doesn't it? And you're going to be pretty unlucky there.
Well, I think German Shepherd dogs, but you just look at it as lunch.
So apparently there used to be, on the old calendar, the Sumerian calendar, there was 13 months in the year. They took that 13th month out, because if you split 365, by 13,
It's even.
then it's even.
Yeah.
Right?
And you know, I've said it for years and years. I always feel, especially with the English weather, that we're always like 1 month out or 1 month in to where we should be
Yeah.
with the weather. Like April showers was in May this year.
Yeah.
So I always think, and I kind of always blamed daylight savings time, but obviously that's not right either.
We have this conversation on a regular basis.
Mm.
And we, you know, when I get up in the mornings to take her to college, and she goes, "Oh my God, Dad, it's freezing." I go, "Tropical." Over in Ireland, it's about 5 degrees cooler than this. This is tropical. She's like in the car like this, going, "Tropical, tropical." I'm t-shirts and shorts.
It's so cold.
I think women feel the cold more than men, though.
Oh, here we go.
We aren't trying to Rambo it all the time like
To be
you lot.
honest, with my friends, I'm always the warm one, and they're always freezing. So I'm like,
Well, look, that being said, when I go back to Ireland, I'm putting on coats. My pals and my brothers in Ireland say, "You know, well, he's sick. He's sick." And I'm putting the coats on. It's bloody freezing over here.
I see loads of men in shorts in the snow, and it's like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, but it's worse because they get wet, and then they're cold and wet. And I'm like, yeah, but your legs are wet. How are you going to deal with this?
My postman is always in shorts.
Yeah, so is mine. Yeah, always in shorts, no
Well,
matter what weather is.
So, what's wrong
Well,
with
that
you?
being said, in Auckland today I'm not, because when I got up this morning it was 3 degrees. But normally I'm in t-shirt and shorts all day. Normally, I prefer it. Feeling cool.
I've got
Right.
jumpers.
Have you got
I'm at
any?
that time of my life.
She said to me today, "Have you ordered the hoodies?" And I said, "Not yet." She goes, "Why?" And she goes, "I'd rather be sitting wearing a hoodie tonight, Dad."
because it's always freezing, and I'm like, my arms are cold.
Feel me? Yeah.
I'm chilly.
And what am I describe mine?
Your hands are warm.
Boiling hot. Right, Nicky, let's put your detective skills to work. Oh, you see that? See that? I would
Bring it
love.
on.
I tell you what, we have to arrange this, Dawn, for Nicky to come on 1 or 2 of our paranormal investigations.
Oh yeah.
I would really like to see Nicky, you know, out there doing. She'll probably put her pagan head on, which that's all fantastic.
And also my scientific head. I've got a double
Oh,
world.
you see, that's me. That's me. I'm very sad. I'm a professional medium. I know spirit exists, and I know that, you know, the physical isn't the end, and so on and so forth. But I'm a very big believer. If you eliminate what you think it is, you're left with what it could be. Okay, so you eliminate one side of it. It's not a leaking tap. It's not a pipe shrinking in the walls. It's, you know, when you eliminate the possible, you're left with the probable. So I look at things as on a positive. See, Dawn said just a minute ago, she said, he's almost so bloody scientific about things. Oh, that's bollocks, or that's crap. Let's look at the word demon for a second. Why do demons only appear in America?
Because it's language.
Demons. Demons.
Demons appear all over the world. They're just all called slightly different things.
But
because like
Americans,
Islamic have got demons
here.
because they've got jinn, and
that's different cultures.
There's definitely lots of talk about demons in Northamptonshire and things like that. I'd argue that there are demons everywhere. But
See, it's language. So there are a lot of demons, dark spirits, dark energies, attachments. There's a lot of those things about at the moment, but they're not all demonic. It's just a negative energy that's stuck to you.
You know the King's Head, don't you, in Penryn? I was doing a documentary on me. There was this crew doing a documentary on me, and it was being done in the King's Head in Penryn, one of the oldest pubs in the southwest. Now I went to walk in. We were in the second floor, and I went to walk into this like room, and my guide said, "No, stay out of there. Tell everybody to stay out of that room." And I just said, "I don't challenge Sean." I just go, "Yeah, okay." Team, everybody pay attention. Camera crew, sound crew, pay attention. They're, yeah. Is there a room there? And I'm going, yeah. I said, don't go in it. I don't want anybody going in that room. And they went, oh, okay. Everybody's going, yeah, okay. Of course, okay. And of course, then they took me way down into like a dungeony kind of room to test me down there. And of course, one of the camera crew or one of the sound crew thought, what a load of bollocks. And off we went into that room. Okay. So next thing you could hear the, you know, the radios going, where's Paul? Where's Paul? We start here. We're doing a bit for him in the salary bit. Get him up here now, up to the second floor. There's this guy standing in an absolute trance, about to jump out a window. Like that. So, and I went, did he go in that room? He went, yeah, he thought you were talking bollocks. Okay. I had to go over to him. So, and I literally had to go, I can't remember, his name was Clive or Cliff or something like that. I said, so Cliff, what do you see? He says, I can see the horses and the carts. All right. Is there anything particularly you like about it? And I had to literally build up a conversation with this guy to bring him back. Because if I went to grab him and went, you can't do that, he would have literally leapt through the window. He was gone. He was not there.
So it's kind of like a time slip.
A time, I don't know. And this is open for, I'm open for interpretation here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he went into that room. My guide said, don't go in that room. And I went, okay, I don't challenge Sean. Sean says, jump up in the air, I jump in the air, because she has a reason for it. So, and I was busy doing all the other stuff. And next thing I get this call, and there he is, and he's standing in as if he's been completely hypnotized. I mean, gone. And he's like,
to me, that's like a walk-in. Like you get a walk-in, so it's like somebody has done that there. He's gone in there. This spirit has jumped into him and made him repeat his actions.
See, I agree with what you're saying. However, how many times have you heard me say time and time again, that's not how it works. A spirit has to get permission to come in because you have your own energy, your own.
If you've got weak Andorra, you don't believe any of that stuff. Say you're on loads of medication, you drink too much, you smoke too much, you think it's all just a laugh and a joke. Then you're going to be in there and you're going to have a target on your head.
Well, this kid was gone, but really got me. See stuff here for Nicky. She's making notes here. What really got me was he was telling me what he was seeing in the street. Now this was 1:45 in the morning, and he was telling me he was seeing horses and carts and people on horses going up and down the street. So he had gone right back to the 1200s, 1400s, when that pub was built, and he was there.
So how about this as an explanation? So you believe in reincarnation.
I do, yeah.
How about the guy had connections? He, in a previous life, he had visited that pub, and maybe that had happened to him there, and it's taken all these years and all these lifetimes to get that guy back to that same place to get him to do it again.
That's a feasible thought.
That's a lot of karma.
I know.
For him to, what did he do?
I know, exactly.
To end up there. My friend had her little daughter had a time slip locally. There's it's a hall, like a very old hall. They actually film there as well, like TV and film adaptations. A lot of Dickens stuff ends up there. And she took her to a princess party, and so everyone was dressed up, but her little girl, only about 6 or 7, kept tugging on her saying, mummy, I don't like those people. And she kept saying, what people? Your friends? And she's like, no, the other people, the people in the darker clothes. And of course they're all dressed in like really bright Disney colors, princesses. And my friend was like, I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't see what she was doing. But then she pointed at a wall and was saying, they're in there. And one of the guides came up to her and said, yeah, that was a wall we had to actually block in. That led to the main hall. And the little girl was saying they were dancing. Mummy, I didn't like the way they danced. They didn't dance like the way they should. And their clothes were too drab.
Yeah.
For being at a princess party. Yeah. So she didn't like them. And I don't think they were being, so it was like she time slipped. She could see through time and she could see what had happened there. Yeah. Nothing bad, but it was still quite interesting to kind of.
I maintain to this day the best mediums on the planet are kids because they don't evaluate. See, I mean, Nicky, you said I looked at that and you started to evaluate what that might be. We do. Even if I look at something, I go, did I just see that? So I'm starting to then go through my library of processing. But kids don't. They go, okay, yeah, and they just accept what it is, and the kiddie will either like it or not like it. And in your case, they didn't like it, so but they were able to articulate why they didn't like it, which is kind of cool. I've just got to say something though, Nikki. Sharon A from Portland, Oregon says, Nikki, you're amazing.
Oh,
I need to learn more about you. So nice to meet you. Lots of hugs from Portland, Oregon.
oh, I love Oregon. That sounds great.
And the question to
Never
all of
heard of
us, including Maya, because Maya knows stuff that I don't. Have you heard of the demon Zozo? Z-O-Z-O.
I'm just looking him
Supposed
up.
to be the absolute worst of the worst.
Oh yeah.
And do I know anything about this? The answer to the chair is, for me, no, I don't. I have a big issue in believing in demons, in the sense that they're portrayed by a lot of these paranormal investigation teams, because not everything they say is a demon is, you know. But no, have you heard of Zozo?
Yeah. Many times.
You are?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and it looks like it's got the first.
I'm going to bed with a cross tonight.
The first thing.
You right in there, Luke.
You need a pentagram, not a cross.
That's the Holy Mother.
The first things that have come up on my search is Minecraft. Is the demon thing in Minecraft called Zozo?
I think there's a lot of games and fiction and like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that that just take stuff from Bibles and legends.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then they just kind of, they chomp it up for their own commercial use. So
she's straight on the Zozo thing now. So while you guys are researching Zozo, I'm going to put Nikki and all the rest of the planet to the test. So I've got 3 pictures. Okay, we'll go through this first because I really want. So what I do is I go through and I'll just go, right, okay, Nikki, you can obviously articulate what you think, yes, no, indifferent. And everybody in the chat room can say yes, no, or indifferent. So here we go. Welcome to Ghost 22, ladies and gentlemen of the planet. And tonight's, shall we say, smorgasbord of paranormal pictures. And see, Nikki, like, she's like, man, come on, like, you get ready for a race. Bring it.
yeah, bring it on.
Nikki, I just got to say something. I feel like I've known you for years.
Do you?
I really do. I don't know what. I just feel like
Past life, Paul.
I don't know, but I really do. You've got a really lovely persona, and I feel like I've known you for years. So please forgive me if I get a little bit too flippant.
That's okay.
But I'm Irish and we invented cursing, so here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen of the world, welcome to our lovely segment where I show you pictures and you tell me whether you think they are real or false. Okay. Now, Julia Evans in the chat room, Nikki is saying exactly the same. I agree, Paul. She's got a lovely persona. So there you go, Nikki. You're a hit. So, and a bit later on, just before we finish the show, we will be able to direct you to Nikki's podcast where you can go and give her more support. And don't forget to buy her books.
I had such a giggle watching it. Do watch
What,
it.
the podcast?
Listen to it. I did have such a giggle listening to you and your friend batting backwards and forwards. It's great fun.
I do hope the invitation for a guest is reciprocated. Anyway, let's get on with this. So here we go. So book picture number 1. We would call it the Frosty Ghost.
No.
Cobweb.
No. Yeah. Or just something with the exposure. I don't think that doesn't seem right because it's kind of all on one side.
Well, I showed everybody some pictures that were taken in my backyard. Oh, crikey, many years
Nice
ago.
lamp thing though.
Mhm.
It's
Do you
nice.
remember? And they were like that.
Yeah.
And there was I had pictures like very much similar to this, and they weren't there to the naked eye. They only came up in the picture. But anyway, so Nikki's
thing with that one-
she's giving it a
No, it's got a light source that I'm querying. So at the bottom
Yeah.
right corner, there's a light source in the mist, which
yeah. Well, hang on. If you look at the picture, if you look at the building behind it, it's lit up as well. So there's obviously a light source to the right of the property.
Mm.
And if you look at the tree, the light source is lit the tree as well. So everything is coming that way. And if you look at the shadows the shadows are coming down. So the light source is to the right of our view. So the light source is to the right. So you are right, Dawn, but it's also lighting up the building in the background as well.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Ladies and gentlemen, Nikki's going to go for a no. Dawn's going to go for a...
I'm going to go for cobweb.
Yeah, it's a no from me.
Dawn's going for a cobweb. So the rest of you, don't come on, put your points of view in the chat room. Let us know. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Off the Planet, especially if you're watching us on YouTube tonight, if you have not already liked the show, hit that like button. It's really important to the show.
Elizabeth
Number
and
two.
Lynn, they're all saying nope.
Number 2, what's your thoughts?
Where is this?
So it's inside the. I can see the figure. It's inside
I
the.
can see a figure, but it looks very
It's got
small.
long legs.
It's been taken by a security camera in the backyard of a person's.
No,
The
no,
backyard.
That looks like
no. I'm going to say no again.
It looks
Yeah.
like
Because it looks too good, because you can see an almost like old-fashioned gent with a kind of candle in it, and I don't know.
Have you seen like when people use green screens, like they're like blurry, but you can
Yeah.
see the figure? I don't know if you've seen it before or not.
Well, I know the answer to this one, and there's another method that nobody's mentioned yet: having a picture taken through glass.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a reflection. Yeah.
So everybody's agreeing with you guys. No.
Yeah, 'cause you
no,
can see,
no,
like,
no.
The puff sleeves and the kind of hair, the kind of bob haircut you would have had,
It's
and that.
giving me
It's
a very
too much.
Victorian look.
Yeah, kind of like a War of the
Medieval.
Roses to me.
Well, you
More
say
towards
male.
the-
I think it looks like a female with one of those weird little Victorian
no.
bonnets that came
I
out
think it looks like a man to
and a
me.
puffy kind of a dressy thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah, you know, like Blackadder.
yes,
Like
just
Yeah.
like Blackadder.
Blackadder.
That's it.
bob hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No legs, too straight, says Elizabeth. Julie Evans goes, no, don't get anything. Cher's going, no, something's on the lens.
Yeah.
But she's from Portland, Oregon, so it'll be, nah, something's on the lens.
Oh, I'm sure she doesn't
I'm
look like
sure
that.
she sounds way nicer than that.
Yeah.
No, man, you're talking out your butt. And finally,
That's someone having a fag.
Yeah, that's incense. Pardon
well,
my
you-
incense, everyone.
Yeah, that's
What?
just it.
No.
They're saving it.
you've never seen plasma. You've never seen none of you guys seen
I've
plasma?
seen plasma, but I've also seen all the hoax Victorian plasma photos that are not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And so I know, and it also kind of looks like it belongs in some old-fashioned kind of museum-y house where they perhaps need the publicity. So I'm a
Right,
little
just
bit
before
kind of.
you drop yourself in it, Nikki, from a very, very big height.
Oh, is it your house?
No,
Not mine.
that color is extremely common in big houses in Ireland.
Who paints their ceiling orange?
Yeah,
It's red.
kind of
It's red.
red.
Who does that?
A lot of Irish people, a lot of grand houses have their dining room painted that color.
It would be like being in the womb again, wouldn't it? With all sides red. You just think. Every time I go out the door, I feel like I'm birthed.
You put the spotlight on me.
No, she's very difficult to please, this one, isn't she?
Yeah, no, I am buying that one. Doesn't
No,
form anything.
I'm not buying that one.
Yeah.
Do you know the answer to this? one?
Yeah, I know the answer to this.
It's what do you call it? An incense.
What do you think I'm going to tell you because you're my daughter?
Well, yeah. Point.
Funny thing happened, Nikki. We went on a paranormal investigation to a beautiful, amazing graveyard that I didn't even knew existed. All right, didn't even know it was. I've driven past it 1,000 times. Didn't even know it was there. With graves going back as far as when, Dawn?
I think the oldest graves there can be like 1400s, 1500s.
Right, so really way back. So took Madam here on her first paranormal investigation. Okay, so there was 3 adults, and it wasn't really an investigation. We were just going to do a recce, more or less, to have a look at the place. So I said to Maya, bring a few of your pals. She brings some 3 girls roughly her age. And I thought, here we go. They're going to be glued to me, like literally, glued like this. Nope, off she went. Boom. On her
That was
first time, I was so proud.
Teenage girls are the bravest, they really are. I've said it
Really?
again and again. Yeah, I once did a Halloween, like a one of the pop-up kind of horror shows. It's called Dogs
Yeah.
with Frights in Northamptonshire. So it's around for like 2 weeks over Halloween, and I dressed up as a ghost to be in one of the mazes. And part of my job was they did like this kind of fake seance in the tent, and I'd kind of pop up with my little teddy bear as a little girl ghost with my like hair in pigtails, and I'd be like, help me, mummy, help me. And everyone would freak out. And then I was like saying, because there was it's meant to be like a demon keeping me in the house, and the actor playing the demon would kind of grab me and pull me back. The only people that ever tried to actually save me were teenage girls. We'll
Teenage
help you.
girls.
Come on, we'll get you out. And I'm thinking, oh no, you can't get me out because I'm not allowed to leave the tent.
Well, this very sturdy, non-fearing girl used to say to me, the Sparkleys have told me to get in beside
To
you.
be honest, your bed is so warm, and I slept so well.
She used to tell me that
My
the ghosts
old-
told her to get in beside me. So
My
we're going
oldest
back
daughter-
on to picture number 1 again. I always go through it twice, as you guys know. So number 1, just to give you, a second opinion. So what's your thoughts on number 1? Are you still zeros? Still a negatives?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming at least one of them you think is kind of spot on for them to be 3, because I doubt from a psychology point of view you'd give us 3 kind of what you would think fake ones.
He did ask
but I do. There are
So
weeks that I
reading
do.
you rather than reading the photos, I'm gonna still say that one is, well, of all the 3, I'd probably say this one is more likely to have something in it.
Right.
Looking at comparing it to the other 2.
Okay. He says trying to keep a poker face.
You haven't got the best poker face on.
Number 2.
Yeah, I don't believe that one at all. That one's been manipulated.
Yeah, that's definitely green screen. Or glass thing, because you brought it up.
Mm.
Okay.
She's got your number.
It's really, really great. I'm listening to you guys and I'm loving it, and it's fantastic. And everybody is still on the negatives. That's okay. It's okay. And finally, the dining room in a beautiful Irish house.
Oh,
Yeah, it looked.
Is that your parents?
Dawn was right. It
My
looks like
parents'
smoke.
house.
Yeah, it
Is
looks
that
like
my
smoke.
parents' house?
It's your parents' house. It still kind of looks like smoke.
It does a little bit. Didn't you
But now knowing it's your parents' house, I'm assuming it's real. Because you wouldn't put something in from your
Because
parents.
he started laughing. He was like in a beautiful Irish home. He wouldn't have said that if it was any other Irish home.
But that could be hair. You know when hair falls over the camera
Yeah.
lens?
Yeah, but
Hair?
No,
Yeah.
hair doesn't look like that on the camera.
Yes, it
Hair?
does. It can look like hair.
How many people have you brushed for hair like that?
White hair, it could fall over the camera like that quite easily.
Have you seen Hellboy 2?
Yeah, no, I've seen Hellboy 1.
Oh, in
'Cause you told me
Hellboy
to
2,
watch-
there's a guy in it who's all this. He's all mist. And he's got a German accent. It's funny as hell. And Hellboy 2 was most of it was shot in Ireland. I rest my case. So there we go. That's Lynn's now changing her mind, going, that one is real. So Elizabeth is going, I find that one tad disturbing. Nah, there was something behind that. Okay, are you ready for the answers? That's what I ask you.
Indeed.
I hear nothing back. First of all, Nikki, are you enjoying the show?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Are you?
Fantastic. I tell you what, we'll have Nikki on again. She is a magnificent guest.
Oh.
Right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen of the world, and including my beautiful daughter, who apparently is going to stab me to death tonight with a spoon.
Just get some plastic down before you do.
Yeah, be alright.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Answer number one,
Right first.
which is referred to the frosty ghost, and Nikki was close.
Mhm.
It is
No,
fake.
no.
It is actually breath on a
Oh.
frosty night, hence the
Oh, yeah.
name Frosty Ghost. And somebody just went and took a picture, and they caught that. And actually, and I wasn't lying before. I had pictures where I used to have my old studio, and where I did a lot of my work in, and a lot of them came back with this, but there was no breath, and there was no, it was all real, and it looked like that. But so when I saw that first, and then I read it, and I went, "Oh, that's so cool! I'll use that one." So Nikki was close. You said something at the very beginning, and I was like, "Oh my God, she knows this." I'm not going to be
I
able
know
to.
nothing.
So number one, you are right. It's a fake. Number two is real.
Mm.
This was taken on a security camera outside a person's house. The camera caught it, and this was taken from the film, and it's real. The camera actually followed it, and they caught it real. So all of them are going, is he winding us up?
I would have to
Real.
see it with my own eyes, Paul,
Me
for me to
too.
Yeah,
deem something
too.
real.
It's real. A security. Actually, quite a lot of security cameras catch. There's one that I was watching earlier, where the security camera catches this entity walking right across, walks to the back of the car, and then walks back again, and the camera just follows it like that. And I used to have cameras in my studio, and the cameras were infrared, FLIR, forward-looking infrared, and then if anything moved in the studio, on it, and it used to follow stuff around the studio that you couldn't see. It happens a lot. You're just all peeved at me because you're gone wrong.
I'm not peeved.
And lastly,
Well, now I know that's your parent house, so I take it it's real.
wait on yours. Come on, what do you say?
I still think it does look like smoke. I think Dawn was
I
spot
do
on there.
think
It
does
looks
look
like smoke.
real.
I mean, you mentioned like plasma, but like I said, I've seen a lot of fake plasma Victorian pictures that.
Okay, if you are ready for this.
I knew it. I knew it.
Hey, number one, I didn't say it's my parents' house. I said it looks like one of the rooms of my parents' house. And number two, Dawn's spot on correct. It is actually smoke from a cigarette.
From a cigarette.
Well done, Donny Wani.
But it could be hair. I've
Hair.
taken
I'd love to see a picture like that, looking like that, the hair.
I didn't know.
it's 35 years in hairdressing, mind. Not talking like an idiot or anything, right?
So,
When
tell
you've
me
got-
this: how many people stuck their hair over them? Take a
Well, it's a
picture of
really
that.
long comb
when you've
over.
got- when
I
you've
love-
got hair in front of a lens like that, which is zoomed,
Yeah.
it could be hair, and it could be thicker and thinner strands because some are hair sprayed together and some aren't.
Well, that's smoke.
And also the color behind perhaps makes something appear a little bit different because it's so
Yeah.
kind of vibrant and everywhere.
Yeah,
I
it
have
looks
seen
vibrant.
pictures of spirit photography that looks very like that, though. That was real spirit photography, but this case, it's smoke. But this is the reason why I actually zoomed on in this one is if you look at the bottom, sort of towards the right hand side, it looks like there's a head forming, and I thought, that'll throw them. Clearly didn't. So pretty much
At the top.
everybody so if you look at the bottom, just literally to the bottom, it looks like there's a head starting to form there. But that color, Nikki, is very, very common in big statuary houses in Ireland and here in the UK as well. A lot of people had their dining rooms painted with that and gold and puke. I mean, as soon as my wife and I saw it, we went, "Well, that's going to change." But no, my mom loved that color with gold. She was into reds, and she was Christian, but I used to say she was as wicked as you can get, because autumn was her time, and autumn colors were that was her love. And so she would have the golds and the bronzes and the deep reds and things like that. So, needless to say, Christmas was her best time of the year. How I miss her, but there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, well done. But if you got the number 2, boing, that is actually real. That's a real ghost. I'm telling you. Wow. Would you believe 1 hour and 20 minutes has gone past? It just went like that, didn't it?
Oh,
I was going to
Time slip.
Where's that ghosty one? You guys can't see that, can you? No, because I haven't brought it up. I was going to bring on some videos tonight, but I don't think we're going to have time to, because we've been so. Our guest has been so good, hasn't she? You're now a fan, aren't you?
I do enjoy
She's
them.
never had you. You've been on her phone the whole time, and mine, both at the same time.
Yeah.
I said that we've got a great guest on tonight. She goes, "Who's that?" I said, "She writes spooky books." Ooh. Ooh.
I'm just into my horror. I love it.
See, I'm
definitely darker than the normal thriller writer. I can tell you that.
I'm gonna give it a go. I'm just now finishing. I've read a series of 3 Yvette Fielding books where she did.
Aren't they comedy?
Pardon?
Aren't they comedy?
No. So she did a Nazi war bunker, and then in the second book it was Jack the Ripper, and then in the third book she did the Pendle Witches. So I'm looking for a new book, but I think yours might be a little bit hardcore for me. So I'm maybe not bedtime reading.
Nicky, did I see something to do with Jack the Ripper with one of your books?
I've had a story in the Mammoth Book of Jack the Ripper. We've done podcasts on Jack the Ripper. I've got my favorite suspect, and one of the most interesting books I read recently was Hallie. I think it's I can never remember her name though. She's so interesting, I can't remember her name. But it's called the Five, Hallie something, and she goes into the canonical 5 victims. I think there were way more than that, but she goes into the 5 that we kind of know about and really traces their lives. And only 2 of them were prostitutes. The other 3 were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But they were called prostitutes.
Yeah, and it was just because bad things happen to bad women, and that follows through time all the way through to the Yorkshire Ripper case. It's just fascinating.
Is it Hallie Ribbonhole?
That's the one. That's the one. Good job.
You've
So
got
do
a new
you think
fan.
it's royalty? Do you
Yeah.
think it's royalty that did it?
Do you want to simply show you
No.
something really spooky? You know our mugs that were white with the green thing saying Ghost 22? Look at them now. Black.
They're heat sensitive.
Spooky.
Ghosty.
I think it was a guy called James Kelly, who was a furniture upholsterer who was put into Broadmoor for killing his wife, and he killed his wife with his instruments. So as an upholsterer, he had stuff that would bring stuff out.
Yeah.
And he lied and said voices told him to do it, so he'd end up in Broadmoor rather than the actual prison. And he escaped Broadmoor a couple of days before the murders happened, and was seen basically boarding a boat to America just after the murders stopped. And then each place he went to in America, you can trace the newspaper clippings saying Ripper strikes in Boston, New York. And it was everywhere he went. And then eventually, about 30 years later, he decided to go back to Broadmoor, knock on the door and say, "I'm done now." And he went back in. That was his retirement
That's
plan.
really good. I didn't know about that, but my impression was that everybody used to say that they think he was a doctor because the cuts were so precise. But when I used to look into it from really meditative states and going right into it, I kept seeing education. So something to do with education. So either it was, you remember they used to pay for people to bring bodies from graves, give me a fresh body. So they looked, somebody was buried, take the body out. So I kept getting like a room where people would sit and learn. So I kept getting that vision.
There was the Pinchin Street torso case, which was fascinating and happening at the same time in the same area. So to have two serial killers operating at the same place
Yeah.
is statistically impossible now. But back then, when it was so easy to commit these kind of murders and get away with it, maybe not so, because we don't have all the information that we should have, because not everything was recorded and not everything was really looked at, and a lot of the stuff has been sensationalized. Because like, he didn't have a top hat, that was just the kind of drawings. All the actual witness statements never mentioned that at all, and the doctor's bag was also just sensationalized through the papers. And you can trace a lot of the Jack the Ripper legend through the papers themselves, and just the media kind of again, like the Yorkshire Ripper, drawing it all up and making people all excited about it and selling papers.
About the same as now.
I would buy into that.
Doesn't
But
change, does it?
No.
Well, the vision that I got, I remember the picture of it really well. I remember looking it up at a lecture theatre, but it wasn't a lecture theatre of today. It was a lecture theatre of way back there when the students were above you, so you were looking up at the students. And I kept seeing someone who did it not as a doctor, but was able to cut people up, but knew what they were doing, but not a butcher either. So my thoughts then just led me to somebody who is into, the scientific breakdown of the human body rather than a doctor.
Well, I think there was obviously a very morbid fascination there, but to do it in the streets, and you're looking at a place that was covered with people. Whitechapel was absolutely rammed with people, and a lot of them didn't have beds or houses to go to and would have been wandering the streets, especially late at night if they were drunk. And he was killing women in just darkened alleys. So it was almost a crime, not a crime of passion per se, but, a crime of convenience when he'd see someone and he would, crime of opportunity. And for someone who, especially if they were trying to sell the body, they wouldn't mutilate it and the body wouldn't have been laying there for anyone to find. And back then, I don't know whether you've ever come across them, but we talked about them on the podcast. There are these things called anatomical Venuses.
No,
and they're just kind of morbid and gross at the same time. They are like models of women sort of laid back in sort of poses, but can be pulled apart by people to be able to see their insides, by doctors. And they look like they're enjoying it, basically, these women, the way they've been designed. But again, just absolutely morbid fascination with these kind of things. But I definitely think, like the Pinchin Street torso murders, there was about 5 murders of that, and they were found in the Thames. They do kind of stink of somebody trying to sell body parts and not perhaps being able to do what they could do.
Yeah. Well, the whole sort of the idea that I picked up from the Ripper was whoever was cutting these poor ladies up knew what they were doing. They weren't just opening up some girl and ripping out something that you could see. They knew exactly where they were going and what to pick out and how to take it out. So that taught me education. But that was my education. After seeing the vision of the lecture theatre, my just conclusion was this is somebody who is A, educated, and B, into education. So, and a lot of these guys used to end up with hearts and livers and lungs all in jars in their studies. So,
they normally trophy, don't they?
They do like a good old trophy, but a lot of the time, like I said, good old trophy. This is what I made earlier. But I think it's, the Jack the Ripper case, we're never going to solve it. It's going to be one that, even DNA now, DNA is never going to even work for that unless we found Catherine Eddowes' shawl finally. Then we're never going to, and even then it's going to be too degraded to be able to do
too degraded and too old. One of the most grotesque things I've ever seen, yet at the same time was like mesmerizing, was a guy who had committed murder or something like that. He was obviously given the electric chair in the United States, and then he signed over to have his body given to science so they could study the body. And what they did, this is nuts, they literally put him in a substance, I can't remember, maybe nitrogen or something, and froze him solid, literally froze him from top to bottom, laid him out flat first, in a straight line, and then sliced him like that, like shaved him like that, and every shave was photographed, and literally the compilation of all of the different shaves from top to toe, then compile a body literally inside and out on a computer reference, and that body is a real person.
See, all I could think when you were saying that, because I'm so dark humoured, was that it's probably going to be like for some new mandolin on YouTube. Look at, it can even shave a human body in half.
Mind your fingers. Mind your fingers. I took enough skin off of my knuckles with a mandolin to just stick the knives. But that's true. That's a real fact. I know you're all. Everybody listening to the show is going to go, I'm going to Google that afterwards. And you'll find it. And he was shaved, literally. And each piece that was then photographed, digitized. And then they were able to complete a human being from top to toe.
Surely they could do that with an X-ray.
No,
They didn't have that.
You had X-rays, but no, an X-ray doesn't give you the whole
tissue and
epidermis and
yeah.
everything else. And this guy signed his body. He killed somebody. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a vessel. It's just a meat sack.
Well,
So,
didn't you hear? There was a case in Germany that there was one guy that really, really wanted to eat somebody, and there was another guy that really, really wanted to be eaten. So he literally sold himself to this other guy, and they were eating like his brains. Like, yeah,
the internet bringing people together, eh?
So
lovely.
this guy to eat. Oh, have you ever seen there's a program called Hannibal?
well, that's definitely psycho. See, look, you both know this. The fact that you know this is scaring me.
Well, I mean, we've turned all the way around back to Jeffrey Dahmer, because I mean he ate, and what's his face, Des? Did you ever watch that on ITV? David Tennant played him. Dennis Nielsen.
Yeah, Dennis. Oh, that was.
That they're all kind of, and again, it was wanting to keep them around, and they just didn't see the kind of harm in it, I guess. Their just brains weren't quite working right. But there's a lot of cannibals out there, and there was that really interesting documentary called, I think it was Thought Crimes on Sky, and that talked about the cannibal cop in America. I mean, with Americans watching, I'd be curious to see if anyone actually heard of it, but it was almost like Tom Cruise's Minority Report, because he didn't commit the crime, but they caught him with all the stuff to commit a crime and eat his victim, which unfortunately was his wife, from what they could tell. So he bought all the stuff. He had like a kill kit. He had everything, but he hadn't quite committed the crime. But she'd gone on the computer at the right time, seen his history, seen what he'd been buying and who he'd been talking to. Because apparently, I mean, there's chat rooms for everyone, isn't there, online?
Yeah.
There's chat rooms for cannibals as well. And he'd been talking to someone. Yeah. So
what did you say then? So there's chat room for what as well?
There's chat rooms for everybody, and so there's chat rooms for cannibals out there that want to share their stories. Yeah, of course there is. There's chat rooms for everybody. Any kind of kink, any kind of horror that you can imagine. There's people out there wanting to talk about it, and that's what the internet does. It brings these people together, doesn't it? And
it's a big club, and we aren't in it.
Yeah. And I think he got arrested over lockdown. I think there was some sort of trial as to whether or not he could be tried as if he'd committed the crime, but he hadn't killed his wife. So it's like, he thought about it. So should a crime actually have to take place? Does she have to die for him to be accountable? And it was such an interesting kind of, for me, it's like,
I'd get him off. I'd get him off.
Well, he was a policeman as well.
No, but I could get him off. I could just turn around and say, well, all you got to do is say is you were preparing for a book.
Yeah, he had no writing skills. I mean, he was definitely on a chat room talking to another cannibal about killing his wife and barbecuing her and how he'd cook her and stuff like that. There's no, I can't remember. I don't know whether he was convicted or not, but it just made such an interesting point as to, can you be convicted to go part of the way, or do you have to go the whole hog? Forgive the pun.
Well,
well, and why would he choose his wife?
If you haven't committed a crime, you can't be.
That's how it's so interesting, isn't it? He was going to do it. He had everything. He prepared. He'd told the guy he was going to do it. Do you know what I mean? He'd got so far, he just hadn't quite committed the crime. So it's like, well,
Would
just
he
thinking
be
about it.
would he be then treated as a mental patient? So maybe he wouldn't get
Yeah, I
time
was
for
going to
it.
say, you'd probably be put into one
I
of
mean,
those.
there's probably ways and means that they could have taken him off the streets. Definitely. I mean, definitely they would have sectioned him. But
Yeah.
if they haven't, intention's one thing, but you have to prove intention, which is extremely difficult.
Oh, I don't know. He had the whole kit. I mean, to go to like a hardware store and to buy stuff online that's big enough to cook a human body. I don't
yes,
know.
I
That's
understand
a lot
your
of
point,
intent
but
there.
That's
If I
not
was the
vanity.
prosecutor, Paul, I'd have been well on that. I'd had that man behind bars.
Definitely. But I
I would have
suppose
loved that
if
challenge.
someone goes to a contract, if you want a contract killing done and you go to the contractor, arrange it, and then it's kind of like, did you have any part of that? Because you didn't actually do it.
But and
Yeah,
there are
but you
sting
planned it.
operations for that. But also, I think
So
there's a
what?
massive myth about contract killers. I don't think there's that many out there. I think most of
No.
them are just police officers that are just waiting to kind of
Ladies
honey
and gentlemen
trap
of the
you.
world, welcome to the most happiest podcast on the planet.
No, but I agree. I think that there aren't that many assassins out there, and I think the technology
Maybe
has
that's
got so now
gap
that
in the
These
market, Dawn.
three
We
want
should
to talk about
get
killing
together.
people, and I talk about seeing them afterwards.
yeah. But I think now that with games and things like that, there's so much mental programming going on. I literally think a lot of these shootings in America and stuff like that is a kid has just been triggered on his game, and he just gets up and shoots everybody because he thinks he's still in the game.
Yeah,
Well,
I kind of
wouldn't
think they
say
would give
that
any
that's
excuse, wouldn't they, just to do
But
what
I
they
wouldn't
want
say
to
that's
do.
very far from the truth on occasions. I mean, what the American people, and here, it's happened here as well. You know, back in my day when you went to school, there was never any thought of anybody walking into the classroom with an Uzi and just spraying the place. But I just want to say hi to Chris, who's just joined us, and Chris again from the United States.
Oh,
Welcome to the
where
show,
you been,
pal.
Chris? You were an
You've
hour
missed,
and 40
I'll
minutes.
tell you, Chris,
What
you've missed
kept
the
you?
show.
He says better late than never.
Better late than never. But you're gonna have to rewind this show to watch this, mate. I tell you what, and
See
you
what we
won't
came for.
like me. You won't sleep with a crucifix tonight, pal. All right. So, we should see this Nicky Peacock. I'm telling you, she is putting things in people's minds. I'm kidding you not. I'm going to start praying tonight. So, I'm sleeping in the cathedral. That's where I'm going tonight. But, so I can't believe that we have the show. I had 3 videos lined up to show everybody. We don't have time. But I tell you what, Nicky, please come back and see us again.
Sure, anytime you like. Just let me know when you want me.
You're just a delight to have on, and your insight is fantastic. I like your insight, and these guys love you. These guys love
Well, I
you.
got a question. Nicky. What do you dream about, Nicky?
Oh, that's a good question.
When you dream, well, I know, but if you're writing all this stuff down, your imagination must be like haywire. So when you go to sleep, what do you dream about?
I'll tell you what, I'll share a nightmare with you that I had, but it'll make you laugh. So I had this horrible nightmare where I was in this hotel and I was so hungry and I couldn't get to the buffet, and they kept telling me that the buffet was not available anymore. And I saw
Nightmare.
this dish. I saw this dish in foil, and it was chicken in cider, which I've never heard before. And I think it's a recipe I invented, but it looked so amazing. And I grabbed it, and I'm trying to find a place to eat my chicken in cider. I couldn't find a room. Every room I opened, there was just no space for me to eat my chicken. And I woke up and I was like, oh my God, where's my chicken? I want my chicken. I'm
so glad you quickly brought the chicken in, because I thought your dream was going, I had to wait.
Arrested. I was like, I want my side of chicken.
And that's that. I was trying to evaluate that when you were talking about it. So the hotel is one thing. Okay, the hotel is a place where a lot of your kind of book things would fit into. You know, the stories of people being murdered and, you know, atrocities happening in hotels is fairly common. So that would be that. The other side, the other 2 elements put together is the fear of not being able to stay in one place.
Mm.
Okay? So whether you were going through the time where you were worried about having to move, or you had nowhere to move to, or something along those lines, or something to do with a strong move involved, where the cider and the chicken come together. I'm a chef. I'm a professional chef. I was trained by a classically trained chef, and I'm pretty confident there is
a recipe.
recipes of cider and chicken. Yeah,
There is, yeah.
sweet cider and chicken. I'm pretty sure there is. When you said it, my head didn't go, what in God's name is she on about? No, I went, I'm thinking,
I was
there
thinking
is.
that as well. There is.
I know there is. I must look
I
it
always
up. But anyway,
cider.
the chicken and cider, what does that register with me?
You'll need to send me the recipe, Paul, if you've got one.
Yeah.
And I can
She
finally
wants
my cider chicken.
I'll get you your cider chicken. You worry, girl. I'll take care of
Dream achieved.
that. I think it's very, very similar to a KF. If I remember correctly, it's something similar to a KF. But anyway, we'll get it. But if you're going to do it classically, you're going to strip the bone back and.
I was thinking it was more like a chicken chasseur, but with cider instead of wine.
Yeah, it looked more like that,
Wonderful.
and it had like mushrooms and onion. I remember it very in vivid detail because they said that you can't taste anything really in a dream anyway. But yeah, it was very much like a coq au vin kind of look, and it was black and oh, it looked amazing, and I was so annoyed. I woke up and I was even more annoyed because I was like, well, I'm never going to get it now because I'm away.
So you're a budding chef as well.
I can cook. I can cook a couple of dishes really well, but
What's
I'm
your
not.
dishes?
I can cook a really, really nice cottage pie,
All
and
right.
I can cook
I
a
love
really
cottage
nice
pie.
bacon pasta. Amazing
Bacon
bacon pasta I
pasta.
can do. Yeah, because I use like cayenne pepper with it as well. Very spicy and nice. And I can cook a bean and sausage casserole. I'm so basic, but it's good.
Yeah, very nice.
Very homely kind of dishes.
The next time when you try your one with that you use the cayenne pepper with, okay, try Cajun spice instead.
Okay.
But lightly. It depends. Have you got? Does your palate enjoy hot food? I mean, hot flavors.
Yeah, I quite like hot food.
Well,
Not
then you
massively
can-
hot, not to the point where you can't taste anything for 3 weeks.
Right.
but-
No, I'm not like that. I'm medium to.
We like a
We like it. I mean, when I cook curries, there's fruit in them. You know, the traditional
yeah, I
curry.
like
has fruit in
apple.
it. Yeah, apple and grapes. And basically, what you should look upon a curry is.
now we've gone to chef.
It's look at the fridge and see what you want to get rid of.
All those human
You know?
body parts.
Well, I introduced these guys to I introduced here. We're back in there again. I was trying to steer the show.
I know
away
you
from
were, bless you.
I introduced these guys to a dish called currywurst, which I learned in Germany, and it's sausage and it's a beautiful you nappe over it, a lovely curry sauce over it, and it's really, really lovely. So, and I come back to them and I said, I want to do a thing called currywurst, and they all went, ugh. And then
It's my favorite meal.
after I made it for them the first time in the end, they were going, Dad, you got to do that again. Oh my God,
We
Dad.
call it sausage curry.
We just call it sausage curry now, but it's called currywurst. And if you want to try it, cook your sausages. Cook them up first. Gently have them about 2/3 cooked, and use a jalfrezi. If you want to do it quickly, just go down to the. I use Lidl because Lidl produces the best produce, bar none. Okay, Lidl's produce is fresher than any other supermarkets, and I use their jalfrezi sauces because I usually cook really quickly. Cook the sausages off, some red onion, bit of garlic, add in the sausages, and the sauce, bring it to boil, add in the sausages, and you can either cut them up into little discs or you can put them on whole. And I guarantee you're going to come back and go, I tried that. Wow.
It sounds tasty. I tell you what, next time I come back, I'm going to take 3 photos and I'm going to say, right, now you need to tell me, did I cook this? You'll be like, that looks a bit too good for Nicky.
I saw
Is that a
I saw
fingernail?
a picture of myself the other day in my wife's in a professional kitchen, and I got depressed because I was bloody thin. I was thin back then, and the whole 9 yards, and it was in the Watergate Bay Hotel, Dawn. It was the Watergate Bay.
Headland. Not helping down
and I saw myself and I was like, I had a flat stomach and I was like all shaky with a neckerchief on, whole 9 yards. And I felt, I miss that. But hey, we have to get old.
Yeah, no,
Elizabeth Orr says, Paul, my husband would have a fit. He's German. Christopher is saying shooting in games doesn't have anything to do with a kid wanting to harm anyone else. I would argue that, Christopher. A lot of these games where
They're quite gruesome.
killing people is a thing. It has actually triggered kids to want to go and do it, and proof of that has actually happened. But I
mean,
think culture.
If you look back, there's a lot of violent kids that claimed Catcher in the Rye, the book, inspired them to do what they did. And there's the anarchist cookbook and things like that. So I think if they're going to do it, they're going to use any excuse they can. If they're already got a predisposition to be like that,
To go out and
then
kill
obviously
people.
video still are not going to be helpful to them. But of course, you don't catch it. You know, you don't see it, and so it can just perhaps reinforce.
If you go back to the late 70s, Ozzy was getting blamed on it.
Yeah,
Ozzy Osbourne. If you
kill a lot
played
of bats, didn't he?
his music backwards, apparently it would kill your husband, kill your wife. And it didn't. You just hear what you want to hear. But and even at one point the Beatles were being blamed on it.
Yeah.
If you played some of the Beatles songs backwards, apparently there was a message about killing somebody in there. A load of rubbish, of course. But I think that Nicky's probably spot on. If you have a predisposition to go and do something like that, you're going to go and do it. But you know, quite a few of these youngsters that have been captured who have murdered people have actually said, "Well, it was all right in the game, or it was all right this and that." You know, there was something that spurred them to want to give it a go in the first place.
And I think the games are so immersive now; it sort of like desensitizes them. So
It looks so real.
Yeah, so they they go on this play this game when they come home from school, and they shoot everybody in the street, and they shoot everybody in their team, and there's blood and guts everywhere, and then they go to bed, and they do the same the next day. So it desensitizes them to the horror of it.
It can do. I mean, it's definitely got an effect on different people. But I would argue that, I mean, just to play as I do devil's advocate, you've got a lot of people that play games that don't do that either. You know, you've probably got a much higher. I mean, I've played games like that. I'm probably not the best example, but you know, I don't go around killing people that anyone knows about.
Do you play games?
I do, yeah. I play a lot of. I like the zombie apocalypse games. I love playing stuff like that. But I think that's more my kind of anxiety nature of, you know, wanting to kind of have the survival. Because I think as part of like being in the modern world, our brain doesn't realize we're in the modern world. It still thinks we're cavemen.
Well, you're all going to think I'm a caveman, but I have a ritual when I go to bed at night. And I do my ritual is I play a game. During the day, I play games that are mind, you know, they make your mind work fast. So it's mind training kind of games. But when I get into bed at night, there's a game I play. Oh, by the way, hi Maria, welcome to the show. I do. You're all going to go, what boring kid. When I get into bed at night, I play Ludo around the world. People from different parts of the world all
You're
play
going to say
Ludo.
Boggle.
Oh no, Boggle. Oh, I remember that. No, I play Ludo with people from different parts of the world.
Yeah,
Every night again.
The Ludo killer, eh?
I know. I've won over 3,500 games.
That's what he said.
Oh wow!
Thank you. Do you know this where you think you like somebody?
No, I meant the Ludo killer. I'm sure that's what he said when he was in the dark.
Oh my god. So have we got a book coming out?
I haven't got anything. I'm not under contract at the moment, but I am writing a couple of different things. My agent's got me writing a cozy crime, which is very different to what I'm used to. But I'm also writing a thriller that's based in the 90s.
Give me an idea. Based in the 80s?
90s.
Oh no, crap year. Probably the 80s. That's the era.
Before the technology phones and
yeah, it's really hard because my protagonist is having to solve the crimes with the, you know, the British Library and a fax machine because she's no mobile phones.
And a Nokia brick.
Yeah, and actually talking to people.
But what's a cozy crime? That's interesting. I've never heard that.
A cozy crime is kind of it got started with the Agatha Christie's, so it's a very kind of closed mystery. There's usually only 1 to 2 murders, although there's some Agatha Christie's that have serial killers in that slightly more. But the kind of classic, the queen of the cozies is MC Beaton, and she did the Agatha Raisin books, which you'd love because Agatha Raisin, the first one was called The Quiche of Death. So it's all about like little villages and people. It's always like a fish out of water story. So you've got the protagonist comes from comes from the city, moves to a village, gets involved in a murder somehow, and then has to try and solve it. And they're very kind of chill, considering there's a murder. They're enjoyable. I'm reading a lot of them at the moment just to kind of get the feel for them.
Well, my wife and I are going to do murder mystery weekends.
Oh, they're good.
We're going to do those. Would you come over to our house in Ireland then?
In Ireland?
Yeah.
I don't know. Wait, it depends if I can get any time off then.
I
haven't had a holiday in years, Paul.
Do you work as well?
Yeah, I do. I ghostwrite, oddly. And I have like projects. I do workshops for schools.
And do you write for TV?
No, not at the moment. It's more the kind of the books. Although my agent can do TV work.
I think you'd be really, really good at that. I've done the acting on TV, but as for producing the stories, I think you'd probably be really good at that. Because
I'd love. I mean, I have the books, so if anyone from TV is watching,
never mind the TV audience. Hold them up again, Nicky. Let everybody see them again. So everybody around the planet, look at this, and I will be putting a link up on YouTube to Nicky's website and to her podcasts. Make sure you follow her. And let's see number 13 there. See,
I'm going to give them.
I would love to have one as a gift for Christmas.
I used to love reading James Patterson.
Yeah,
you know the James Patterson. I used to love, and I used to literally binge read those books.
He's doing a lot with other authors now, you know. So it's like a dual thing. He's doing like a YA series that I think you'd love. That's like, I'm sure it's like Jack the Ripper.
Oh.
You'd need to look into that. James Patterson, another author, and I'm sure it's a series that's like finding Jack the Ripper and like something like they're doing like Dracula, like classic kind of Victorian stuff.
Yeah. So you just used to like the way he. Sometimes I'll pick up and it's the way that they write it, and I just find it easy to read. Sometimes I find it a struggle. I suppose a writer, you've got to be able to see it from their perspective and how they're writing it. And if it doesn't fit, I can't get my head around it. So
as a writer, you've got to make sure you're not jolting the reader out of the story, because it's like breaking a spell then. So if you're reading my book, I have you under a spell. I've created a world and a character that you're interested in and you want to know about. But if I drop a little bit, you know, like if I come out of character, or if the story goes astray, I've broken the spell, and you can put that book down. Whereas I hope with my books, it's more kind of that you have to finish it. You have to get to the end. And then when you get to the end, you're like, oh, it was so-and-so. Then you think, how did I miss that? And so you go back to the beginning, because I do drop clues. I hate books that are like, at the end,
question for you.
This guy.
I have a question for you that's kind of paranormal-esque. Okay. When you're getting into a character, when you're writing a book, do you write from each character's perspective? Do you like separate? I'm going to write about Jane at the minute. No, then I'm going to write about Peter. Then I'm going to write about, Misty. Or do you get into their persona? And then, have you ever gone into a persona writing from their point of view in the story, and not really finding it difficult to get back out of that persona's out of it again?
Well, I write first person in the thrillers. So I'm writing from that character's perspective. The only book that I've written from two characters' perspectives is The Brother, because you've got the serial killer's perspective, because you've got to guess which brother is the serial killer. So the reader's going to have clues and be in the killer's mind to have that side of the investigation. And through Fallon, who's the protagonist, who's trying to figure it out. So I kind of do and I don't. So my trick to my characters is I always give them an aspect of me, so I feel close to them and I can write from their point of view. So like Dee in 13th Girl has got my kind of, I suppose, my darkness, in terms of I don't feel like I fit in with too many people. You know, I can only show so much of myself. because of that darkness, you know, so I can like show you
He
this, but I'm
says
not going to show
holding
you.
claws up like that.
Yeah. It's in a little heart. And Cherie in Little Bones definitely had my dark sense of humor. And, you know, Fallon has got one of my fears in. So it's like I can kind of show you a little bit about me in the character, and therefore I feel comfortable speaking from their point of view. But it can be almost like being like having dissociative identity disorder, because I've got like family and friends that have said to me, "You're talking like Cherie. Stop doing that," when I was writing her. And I realized I wasn't. And like my mum said to me once, "You're D, you're not Nicky. I want my daughter back." I was like,
Well, my mom said the same thing to me, but she didn't call me D or Nicky. But
I
there's
just didn't
one
want
of
you
the
back.
no, I was a head chef, and I was like so stressed that I would fire people at the drop of a hat. And my mom just said to me, "I don't know who you are. You're not my son," and that pulled me out of it, and I walked away from the industry. But so basically, the answer is yes to my question.
Yeah,
So
it can be very hard sometimes to kind of and I can miss them. I miss Cherie a lot because I miss the way she used to think and the kind
did
of.
you kill her?
No, she's just
So
not
she
in
can
another
come
book.
back?
She could, yeah, they could all come back. Then, you know, they're not. They're well, even if they did die, they could still come back officially, you know. But I don't know. It's kind of after a certain amount of time, you do get used to thinking that way, and because you're doing it first person, it can be very difficult to kind of shift back out of it. But like I said, fortunately, it's not too much of a shift because most of them do have aspects of me in.
Well, if you do write a story where a medium comes in,
Well, Little Bones has got a tarot reader in it.
I never liked tarot. I never could get on it.
Oh, I love tarot.
But if you bring a medium into it, and you need a perspective, and you can call the medium Paul. I'm just saying.
We'll see.
Saying, that'll be interesting. That'll be really interesting. I was supposed to go and film in a movie. It was going to be shot somewhere in like the Bahamas, and they wrote a character in the movie who was a medium specifically for me, and then freaking lockdown happened. Never got to do it.
Ruined a lot of people's lives.
But the lady who was doing it is she used to be in the Carry On movies. You're too young, Nicky, for that. But Dawn,
I remember the Carry On movies.
Yeah, she's in the Carry On films. The lady
Carry On
who's done it.
Screaming.
Yeah,
We're frying tonight.
That's Johanna's favorite. Carry On Screaming.
Oh, I love that.
Johanna's my wife. Ladies and gentlemen of the planet, I could literally chat, and we could chat for the rest of the night. It's clear you're dead easy to get on with.
Oh.
We would love for you to come back and come and talk to us, especially from that really kind of stony perspective, like, you know, from a detective's perspective. You've got that detective about you. That's like, and that's when I couldn't wait to show the pictures tonight, see where you were going to go. I didn't tell her about any of them because I wanted her point of view as well. But now you notice she's going doing the hair bit. That's I'm going to stab you with your favorite knife.
It's a hairdresser.
I'm going to cut your left eyeball and put it around a necklace.
Oh, yeah.
Plastic and bleach.
Don't be giving her ideas. I'm sleeping with both my German shepherds tonight. I'm going to have Shadow and Storm on each side of me.
No, just Shadow would be like, oh.
Holly, who's about this big. She's the guard dog.
Currently asleep.
Anyway, we've gone into literally 2 hours. This is our show's normally an hour and a half, and I thought you'd come on here. We'd give you, you've been here for about half an hour, and you probably get bored with us and sort off. It's been so good. You've been here for 2 hours. Nicky, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm speaking to all of the people all around the globe here watching us tonight.
Hello.
He's little Ollie Pom Pom.
And who's that one, Dawn?
This is Ollie.
That's Ollie.
Ooh. Don't like dog kisses. So you can see
Oh,
him.
he's lovely. I haven't seen Ollie before. I've seen the other one who's who's like
The other one
what, I
is here.
can't remember what
Yeah.
breed he is. He's not a bulldog. He's
Come
a.
here. Come on, then. We'll have
What's
to
the
get
other
this
one?
over. He's here. He's just too much of a pansy to jump up. Come on, Bruce. Bruce, come here.
But he's like one of the dogs you'd think is going to kill you. There he is, like
Oh,
He's a Rottweiler.
a Rottweiler, yeah, designed to kill you,
loves
but
his
will lick you to death.
He loves his mummy, don't you, buddy?
They're bad snorers, Rottweilers.
He doesn't snore and he doesn't
No.
fart.
Oh, okay.
Of course he
No.
doesn't. You get his
The
back
only
end
Rottweiler I
plugged up.
knew snored and farted for England.
I
Yeah,
swear
this
to
one's
God,
broken.
our dogs are that bad. They're color coded. There's like a green mist hanging in the air.
They
Yeah.
clear the rooms.
Rottweilers are renowned for their farts, but this one he's broken. So he doesn't
Yeah.
bark, he doesn't do anything. He's just like he's a golden retriever with a Rottweiler coat.
Well, I'll tell you what, Holly, who's literally the size of a biscuit box, when she drops one, they clear the house. They should come out color coded. And Shadow, he's got to have the lying the other side of the couch when I'm sitting, and you just hear that like that. You hear, and you go, "Oh, sweet Jesus!
Bruce makes
Give me my
himself
crucifix!"
Your poor spirit guide's like, oh my God, I'm out.
I gotta go.
I tell you what, the last one he dropped on me, I thought I was going to have to exercise him. It was that bad. It's terrible.
Got one of those things in the holy water.
Yeah.
the power of Christ.
Yeah, the power of Christ.
The power of
Ow,
Christ
demon,
compels you. You have to watch that show. It's got Martin Shaw, by the way.
I've seen it, Apparitions. Yeah, it's on
Apparitions.
ITV.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
Mm.
That's excellent. I look like as soon as I saw the first one, I thought I can't stop watching this. I got to go right to the end, and it seemed to stop too quickly. There must be another series.
There's loads
No.
of series.
Only
I don't
only
know.
one.
I don't think there's anything new because I was on. Oh God, was it ITV Hub that it was on?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think the last series was a good while ago. So unless they're
Yeah, there's only one
they're
series.
revisiting,
And
And
yeah.
the other one that I'm glued to, I'm giving you two grief about what you like, the blood and the gore. The other series that I'm glued to is King of Tulsa.
Oh, I love
Stallone.
King.
Brilliant.
I love
I
King.
think that's just so good.
Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone.
Yeah, Yellowstone's good. I love the one that was
Yellowstone,
set back. Have you seen the one in the West? The 1880?
Yes, 18.
Yeah.
They've got
And then
19
1930.
No.
Yeah, those ones
Yeah.
were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
brilliant. And the way that
Yeah.
they did it historically was,
Yeah.
I thought, it was amazing. But do you
Yeah.
ever watch? Did you ever watch Making a Murderer on
Yeah.
Netflix? Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's an unsolved one again, isn't it?
Well, it is solved. It's
yeah.
if you I get right on a soapbox with you should
Go on.
never have brought that up. Because
Oh,
he
you two are
totally
going to
did
get
it.
on. You're going to get on the pair of you. Getting on
Do
the
you think
soapbox.
Totally did it. He totally
think
did
Brad-
it.
But do you
Completely.
think Brandon did it well?
I think Brandon was unfortunately just he obviously had intellectual issues, and I think he was
Yeah.
very scared of his uncle, and I think he was kind of railroaded because
Right.
that wasn't right what they did and how they interviewed him. That definitely wasn't right. They did it without his mum, and I don't think he had the capacity to do what happened.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah. The
that
way
that other guy was completely guilty. And if there's actually a podcast that tells you all the stuff that Netflix manages to leave out, because Netflix had the narrative of he's innocent,
yeah.
and so they only kind of gave you evidence to support their narrative. But
Yeah,
there's
see,
a
I've
ton of evidence out there that says that no.
Yeah, I've seen I've seen some things that tell you the other side of the story, but the Netflix one kind of like pointed me towards her brother.
It would, yeah, because
Yeah.
they were trying to get you to think that he was innocent. But
Yeah.
there's a ton of I mean, this is just my opinion, but there's a massive amount of podcasts out there that cover the evidence that wasn't covered in the show. And one of the biggest bits of evidence was the gun that he had above his bed had both his DNA on, only his DNA, and hers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And to me, that's just like,
Because
but
he
yeah,
got that second one, he got that really nasty lawyer in, and she said, "Look, if you're guilty,
Yeah.
there's no point in hiring
Yeah.
me." And she
well,
found out quite.
I mean, she probably did it in good faith. You know, she was probably there thinking, you know, because it's every kind of lawyer's dream to represent the innocent man that's been railroaded. And I
Yeah.
kind of, part of me suspects that the police weren't quite on the ball either, but it was like the
No,
perfect
all-
storm. It was like
Yeah.
the perfect storm of, you know, we want to get this guy, so they kind of manufacture perhaps some stuff, but that doesn't mean to say that he is innocent. He could still
No.
be guilty. You know, it's that kind of, it's hard sometimes for our brains to hold two opposing truths. You know, two truths can still be true, but they can be in opposition to each other. And I think that was kind of part of it. But I get well on a soapbox with that. I mean, I would have to see some really good evidence to
Yeah.
say that he was
You could
innocent.
take
But
through
in
the-
my
We're going to
opinion,
have to bring you back. It's just that simple
Yeah.
because I've got Lynn going, tell them to make sure they come and watch you on Thursday night, Paul. Okay. Yes, Lynn, I'll tell everybody, come and watch me. I'm back again now after tomorrow, Thursday night, for Reach Across Live. Next week, by the way, Dawn, we're back to Monday nights.
Okay.
So this week was
No more,
Tuesday.
no more appointments for Johanna in Exeter.
No, next week it's on Tuesday. The appointment's on Tuesday.
Okay.
So it's back to Monday next week. And then there's only one more, and then we're off for Christmas.
I'm gonna have a Christmas tree here next week. I'm gonna
And
put a Christmas.
I'd love to grab Nicky back before we shut down for Christmas, because it'd be really great to catch up before you disappear on us. In fact, it'd be really good to bring all our guests on before we leave, like
We'll
a
have a
final
Christmas party.
Christmas soiree.
We have a Christmas party.
That'd be an online Christmas party. Sounds like a plan to me.
We'll
Bring your
dress
own
you up.
wine, because
I'll
sharing
bring
is
it.
a bit of an
Drop on the
issue. Although that being said, Don, you're 7 miles from me, 8 miles from me.
Five as the crow flies. Goonhaven to Shortlands End. I could
I've
get
never
to you
seen
in
a
about.
crow fly in a straight line yet.
I know.
Well, anyway, so
I know for a fact that I can get from my doorstep to Goonhaven in about 3.5 minutes.
I've no
Back-
doubts. I've seen the way you drive.
Back lane in it, I can get there in about 3.5 minutes because me and my mate used to do it. My friend used to own a guest house, not a guest house, residential home in Goonhaven, and we
You
used to
see
race the
how,
back lane.
Nikki, do you see how cornish she gets when she goes, "You're in the room with a phone."
I was thinking I might need subtitles on here.
Sometimes.
On
I'm like,
here.
what?
all right, my lovers.
This one here
Alright, my
is
answer.
actually in Northampton. There's a bit of an OR in the Northampton area, isn't there?
Well, there's a lot of different accents. We're very close. I'm very close to Leicestershire, so I have a bit of that and a twang. And there's a big Scottish population around me as well. So sometimes a little hen can get pulled in.
Well, this one here is oh, daddy. You make me have his gal in a while.
I'm not.
Ew, father. She calls me father at times.
No.
Laney, back to Jay. Hello, father.
Hello, Mama.
Oh, daddy.
But I don't say it in a way to be posh. I just say it as like a joking way.
No, she doesn't. She's always said that, and we've taken the mickey out of her all her life.
Um,
She came out of the room going, "Oh, hello."
no, I don't.
Father, move to the left so I can stab your rib cage properly.
Yeah. Oh, daddy, does this hurt?
I don't laugh like a posh person.
Right, we got to call this a night. We've been on here for way over 2 hours. Nikki, once again, thank you so much. You've been an absolutely fantastic audience, a fantastic guest for our audience. I will be back on Thursday night at 8 p.m. for Reach Across Live. If you're happen to be bored out your trolley, do watch me, Nikki. And that's the night where I do reads and people ask me questions about the paranormal, or not paranormal, about mediumship and spirits and blah blah blah. Ladies and gentlemen of the planet, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't seen it and you're coming in to watch later on, this beautiful person, Nicky Peacock, is a phenomenal author or authorette, who's got multiples of books, especially ones that will keep you up all night and probably for several nights after that again.
Which
And
one's fair?
if you're
Oh.
Which one's
completely and
got
utterly
little
like Dawn and totally twisted, they'll give you ideas. What you got to do, right? What we got to do is I got to take photographs of your books, right? And I can actually create a banner that will go right across the bottom of the screen with your books going.
No, don't do that, people.
I'm a whiz with this kit that I've got for making videos. A minute.
What readers can do to support every author, not just me, but if you like a book, leave a review on Amazon or wherever you bought it. Preferably Amazon, even if you didn't buy it on Amazon, as long as you've got an active account, you can still leave reviews on there. But I cannot express how much it helps us and the algorithms to be able to sell our books, because unless people are reviewing it, we don't get recommended by Amazon. So we're just not reaching people that could love our books. And like, I was getting messages with little bones during COVID saying that it took them away for a couple of days, you know, and that was so meaningful to me, that in such shitty times that I could, you know, give that person a little brain holiday, if you know what I mean, somewhere dark, and you know, but still it kept them and took them away from where they, you know,
reading also makes them use their imagination, which is so much better than being, because it doesn't matter how many people read your book, they will all imagine it a totally different way. And that's the individual of reading a book, rather than having a screen and characters and everything like that. You have to use your imagination, which not enough people do nowadays.
No.
I'm going to back Nicky up. Please go to Amazon and review the books, especially Nicky's and mine. Review The Safe Way and The Little Book of Quick Wisdom. They're both on Amazon. Get in there and review them. Leave great reviews, please. As Nicky's saying, they do help us a lot, as well as leaving a like on the show. Please do that. And share the show, because that helps us with YouTube. They're trying to get rid of shows, lots of shows who are not getting huge thumbs up and reviews. Please review ours and please leave thumbs up. And then look out for Nicky Peacock and her podcasts. And I will put up a link later on as to get to Nicky's podcast. And do go and support her as well. I have no doubts her podcast will be as good as she's been on here tonight, which has just been brilliant. And she will how to cut up a human and eat them all at the same time. Don't come to me for recipes, because I haven't got any in that field. I can give you recipes for cider chicken, no problem whatsoever. But as for cooking somebody's arm or leg or what, you know, leg of Dawn, how would you cook that, Paul?
I don't know. I feel like that kind of recipe is a real commitment, isn't it? Which quite frankly, I'm not ready for.
But the information is out there if you really want it. It's only a stone's throw away on Google.
Yeah.
Well, you start off with a huge amount of holy water. Right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much, Nicky. Absolute pleasure. It has been a pleasure to meet you. You've got fans now.
Yeah.
A lot more fans who are now going to be watching you. Everybody's saying it's been a fab night. You've been a fab. I never use that terminology, do I? You've been phenomenal.
I'll take fab.
More.
Phenomenal's good
more
too.
phenomenal. You're more phenomenal.
I'll take beautiful. I'll take sexy. I'll take it all. I don't care.
Hey, just keep going. I'll tell you when to stop. But Nicky, please do come and see us again. It would be just an honor to have you on. And I'd love to introduce you to our pal Paul. Not me, another Paul.
Oh, yeah.
His nickname is Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Right? And what
He's
he
our
does,
only hope.
he'd be a brilliant character for you, because he creates technology that actually identifies spooks.
Okay.
He's you know, I'll tell you who he looks like. And we love him, and he's a lovely, lovely man. But he looks like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. And that's who he looks like. And he is one of the loveliest people you'll ever meet. He's such a sweetheart. But his nickname's Obi-Wan. He's a lovely guy. On that note, I'm gonna put up the trailer to say goodnight to you all. I'm gonna say goodnight to you all. Thanks once again. Good night. I was gonna say Buster.
Night.
That was Paul O'Grady's dog, wasn't it? Buster.
Buster.
Yeah. Nicky, God bless. Thanks very much for being here. We will see you again, I have no doubts. And Dawn, I will talk to you tomorrow, most likely. That's very, that's very, you know.
A bit Nazi-ish, but okay.
He's got the mustache and everything.
I know, he's too cute. He's too cute for that. He's too cute. Yeah, he's too cute.
Do you know what? I was doing a show. I was on stage in a theater doing a show, right? And I always start my shows off with Q&A to get people relaxed, to get them to know me, Q&A. And I said to them, ask me any questions. I prefer your questions to be about the subject matter, you know, what happens when we die, blah, blah, blah. Somebody said to me, so are you saying that all people who pass, no matter how they pass, we go to the same place? And I went, yeah. What about Hitler? I was like, and they went, what? He just gets away with it. No, he doesn't get away with it. But when we step out of this mortal coil, we all go to the same place. But karma has to be met. Karma has to be fulfilled. Now, my favorite way of telling people to get off that subject and get into the comedy aspect is, have you ever seen the movie Little Nicky?
Of course, I'm
Hitler
Nicky.
would pineapple shoved up his backside every night for the rest of his life.
Yeah, but I think some people like that. So it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah.
I saw. I was what Dawn, what was that? I think I put you on to where this girl, or was a girl when it had so many spirits in her? It was
Annalie.
Annalie. It's a true story.
Oh, I
And
can remember.
the exorcism of Annalie. And they said that one of the demons was Hitler. And his voice came through her, and it was his voice. And it was you'll have to watch that one. There's one you haven't seen, Nikki.
Yeah, she had
Right.
six different characters, didn't she? So she had something like,
she had seven. There was seven, and
yeah, there was
the two.
Lucifer,
What was it?
Nero,
How many was it?
Hitler.
I remember she had to exercise
Like
67
Yeah.
exorcisms to get these things out of her.
and that was all in 1 year.
And the story, the movie was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That's the movie
I've
of
seen
it.
that, yeah.
But the real girl, and there's a real girl, she was German, and her name was Annalie, or Annalise.
But when you look at it, when you look at her name, you're like this, Nikki, is that her name is actually spells Analyze.
Oh.
Oh, look, she's up again.
So it's like,
You're going to
oh,
say goodnight to everybody, aren't you?
Yeah, I've really got
She's
so
going.
I'll see you guys.
Go on
See
then.
you guys all next
No,
week.
no, Maya.
All right.
And I'll see you when I come up.
Yeah, see you in a bit.
No,
And
no,
she
Maya.
leaves the theatre, which is commonly known as our kitchen.
Yeah.
We're about. This isn't. We bought a house. We're about to move our house, and there's going to be a new studio built, and so stuff like that. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, and especially our new viewers, thank you so very, very much. Please continue to come and join and support us. Join me here live at 8 o'clock on Thursday night for Reach Across Live. Big round of applause from around the globe for our lovely guest, Nicky Peacock. And go and buy her books. I don't care if you don't like them. She's a lovely person. Buy her book.
Please like them. I don't want you to buy something you don't
If
want.
you're going to buy it, if you're going to like it, once again, I think all of the women that watch this show will love your books, because all the women are into the murder mystery aspect and the horror aspect, whereas blokes like me, I'll watch Dracula, love Dracula. I'm not. See, when they brought out that stupid crap where all the vampires were falling in love and all that.
Oh, Twilight.
Oh,
Twilight.
what a load of rubbish. Vampires are supposed to scare them. You're supposed to not be able to go to sleep at night after seeing a vampire film. The last decent vampire Dracula film I saw starred Gary
Oldman.
Oldman.
Hmm.
That was the last decent vampire film that I've seen.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's all lovey-dovey.
Do you know the film that scared me when I was a kid? The vampire film that scared. Well, Salem's Lot. That scared the absolute crap out of me. But the one that made me sleep with my light on was Lost Boys.
Oh, that's Johanna's favourite movie.
Yeah,
That's
I
her
love the
favourite
film.
film.
Love the music in it, but that made me sleep with my light on for months.
I thought it was like going to be proper Dracula, where he
No,
used to come as a
I've
mist
seen-
under the door and stuff. And
No, I've seen Freddy Krueger. I've seen all the Saw films. Absolutely love them. But that Lost Boys, it did a number on my head.
Oh God, I was opening the window to let Keith Sutherland in.
Oh no.
Nicky probably run screaming after Nicky been talking to him for half an hour. No, I'm
Let's-
going straight. I'm going
Sorry.
straight back out the window.
Yeah.
Nicky goes, come back.
Yeah. No, I used to like Interview with a Vampire and stuff like that.
That was
But
good.
I like
Yeah.
watching
true.
What it was. The new
Yeah.
Interview with the Vampire, the new series, you should watch that.
I saw that. It's quite woke, isn't it?
It is, but I liked it. I think it was very much, I think, what Anne Rice actually envisioned.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's written quite a few vampire books, hasn't she?
Yeah, and witches
Yeah.
and all sorts, and yeah.
Yeah, I've read
I
quite a
like,
few
I
of
like
hers, I
Hansel
think.
and Gretel. I like that film.
Mm.
Hansel and Gretel was a good film. I like that.
Yeah.
In fact, I watch that quite regularly. But if
Yeah.
we don't go now 2 hours and 20 minutes in, we're moving into movie
I
territory
know,
here.
that's like all
Right.
nighter stuff. I have to
Good
get my
night, God
beauty
bless you
sleep.
all. I'm going to say, I've got to send up the brand now. I'm going to say, I'll see you all on Thursday night at 8 p.m. And I'm quickly setting the brand up to go on because otherwise we'll be sitting here chatting for another half hour. Good night to you all. Lots of love. Nicky, thank you so much. And
Right,
I'll see
thank
you
you for
all
having
soon.
me.
You're
Night-night.
absolute pleasure. Good night, God bless. See y'all.
Night.
Bye.